Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Batten the hatches.
How can we limit the exposure here?
Cover your windows in plastic.
This is bigger than March Madness in our brackets. This is bigger than the start of Major League Baseball.
And enjoy the Dan Patrick Show at a reasonable volume.
A safe place to go.
Safely from the confines of your home.
Clayton Kershaw, you guys are disgusting, like licking your fingers and rolling the ball and spitting. And, I mean, come on. You guys are like a petri dish.
I would agree when you put it like that, but I will say basketball and hockey are a little bit different in that, like, they're literally sweating all over each other, you know, checking guys and posting up and things like that. So that seems more of like a hotbed than like a baseball game, in my opinion. But I'm no doctor.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave.
Hell, I'd vote for you for president.
This is Dan Patrick.
How's morale? Welcome to Hour 1 on this Friday, a Traeger Meat Friday. We'll have Meat Friday songs. I got to pick up the morale around here. We got some hamburgers and brats that we're going to cook. It's business as usual. Sort of. Come on in. Stay a while. We'll talk to Jim Boeheim, Syracuse head basketball coach. What's he make of all of this? He's been at Syracuse for 44 years. They probably weren't going to make the tournament unless they made a run during the ACC tournament, but that, of course, is obviously not going to happen. Also, check on the business side of this with John Ourand from the Sports Business Journal on some of these leagues and the trickle-down of what all of this is going to cost. He'll join us coming up a little bit later on as well. Free agency in the NFL, it's still on for next week. The legal tampering starts on Monday morning, and it's a big week. So we'll get an update on that as well. This is a week that will make an indelible mark in sports history. A wave of cancellations starting on Wednesday and continues at just about every level, from the pros to college to high school to youth leagues. And in many ways, sports leagues and college conferences were leaders in taking steps to slow the spread of the coronavirus. Seeing officials pull the Jazz and Thunder off the court on Wednesday after they found out Rudy Gobert had tested positive, and that made it real for people. That was in real time. You're watching something happen, and you realize Rudy Gobert had tested positive. Then his teammate Donovan Mitchell also tested positive. And sports often act as a visible platform for other things happening in society. Hopefully, we'll be able to look back and say everyone did the right thing. And sports also serves as a distraction. We're well aware of that. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen because during this coronavirus outbreak, we were an outlet. But when the coronavirus was intersecting with sports, then that changed everything. And eventually, we'll get back to sports, but everybody takes a seat on the bench now. That doesn't mean the sports world is sitting this one out. The absence is making a louder statement than anything an athlete could make or do on a court or an athletic field. You know, you think back to yesterday, and we had Tom Izzo on, Michigan State head coach, and this was around 10 o'clock East Coast time. And I said, you know, how do you feel about playing this basketball tournament? And he said, you know, the more I'm thinking about it, the more we shouldn't be playing. And then 2 hours later, the Big Ten decided it was not going to play basketball games. The ACC, the SEC. Duke said to the ACC, if you're playing this tournament, we're not playing. That forced their hand. The SEC the same way. And then we get done with the show, and I'm watching Fox Sports 1. My buddy Tim Brando's on the call, and I looked up and I went, wait, they're doing player introductions in the Big East tournament in New York City. Well, somebody's going to step in. The commissioner, Val Ackerman, somebody's going to step in and go, wait, this looks horrible that we're going to play and nobody else is playing. All of a sudden, I see the ref with the ball going out to the center court. I go, no, you can't be doing this. They just tipped, and we're off and running. I went, oh, no. Then you go to halftime, and then, of course, you have to do the obligatory coach interview. Hey, what do you need to do in this second half? And all of a sudden you hear, we decided to cancel the Big East tournament at halftime. And I went, oh, boy. But they eventually did the right thing because I said, let's just stop everything and figure out what we have. Take inventory here. Just figure out what is going on. And I do believe things are going to get worse before they get better. And I know that everybody's, we have the tough guy mentality. Come on, we play through that. Come on, come on. It's just a little fluke. We don't know all of the answers here. And until we do, then I think it's very careless, very reckless to go out there. Golf got canceled last night at 10 o'clock. And they're not really interacting with each other. But they did the right thing. Let's cancel it right now. NASCAR hasn't canceled its race coming up this weekend. No fans haven't canceled their race. Golf is going to be canceled for the next 3 events. And then we're going to come upon Augusta, and Augusta is its own governing body. But we have a lot of time in between then to figure some things out, get testing in place. And as a person who works in the ER in Houston, texted me last night to say, please tell people this isn't about young people getting the virus and you can move on with your life or it doesn't affect you. This is about staffing at hospitals that we have to be aware of. That's the most important message you can send to people. Make sure that you're clean, you wash your hands, don't touch your face, and don't be in large gatherings here. But understand this is about staffing. Let's say you have a surgery, you're going in, and somebody, the hospitals are packed because of the coronavirus. It's going to impact you. Not, hey, I'm 25, I don't need to worry about this. Everybody needs to worry about this. And the person who works in the ER said, we make it seem like older people are expendable. Like, hey, just old people die from this. You got to make sure people understand what the truth is. And the staffing is going to be a big issue. A big issue. We all have parents, grandparents. You don't look at them and say they're expendable. So there's a lot of things involved in this. But more importantly, in our world, we're not as much a distraction as we hope to be because we don't have games to talk about. And we'll do our best here. It's sort of, once again, there's no handbook that says, hey, when there's a pandemic, this is what you talk about on your show. We'll try to talk about the things we think are topical, important, try to move things forward. But, the hand-wringing continues here. I heard from somebody last night who works with the CIA. And, it wasn't a great prognosis here. Just what is going on, with shutting down subways at some point. How long is this going to take? Are we going to be in a 60-day period where things are rough? I mean, that's the feeling that people have here because they're not quite sure what's happening. If you'd like, get in touch with the program. I don't know what's on your mind, but feel free. 877-3DP-SHOW. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP-SHOW. And say good morning to the folks watching on YouTube. YouTube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, our Fox Sports Radio lineup, 362 radio affiliates around the country. And this program is brought to you by True Car. Shoppers save an average of over $3,500 off MSRP. See what other people paid for the vehicle you want with the new True Car. Buy smarter, drive happier. Do you have a poll question today, McLovin?
Well, we could ask people what they watched last night with no live sports on.
Okay. I watched a Miles Davis documentary. I don't know about jazz, but I'm trying to understand jazz. And when you're watching this documentary on Miles Davis and you realize just what's in his mind when he starts to play, and the brilliance is those in the band with him trying to figure out their role in real time is just, it's remarkable to just whatever Miles Davis was doing and thinking and the people who tried to keep up with him. And I'm not all the way through it because, as you know, I don't finish anything the first time I watch it. This is probably the third time I've come back to it. But I'll finish it over the weekend because I got nothing else to do. But Miles Davis documentary is it's remarkable. I still don't get jazz, but there's parts of it that are pretty illuminating. Yes,
So at home, I've been sort of on this jazz kick, trying to learn about it. And it's interesting because there's a lot of songs that you do end up recognizing, whether it's from movies or commercials or something, where you're like, oh, wait, that was Miles Davis. I didn't even realize that. But what I find it interesting, too, that I'll put it on during dinner or something as background noise. And sometimes I find it makes me, like, my anxiety starts going through the roof just based on, because it's so frenetic, the pace of jazz.
Oh, so it doesn't make you mellow, doesn't chill you. Oh.
Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, like I find myself like my eyes are blinking and I'm like, good God, what is happening right now? Everybody's going nuts.
Yeah, Paul.
I actually watched a lot of the TNT coverage. I was looking to see what game TNT would they replace it with, and they did live coverage of Kenny and Shaq and Ernie Johnson. But Charles Barkley was on a telephone, and he announced to everyone on live TV that he was being quarantined, self-quarantined. I don't know if that really is a right word, but he did the whole show from a hotel phone or a cell phone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be, I don't know what sports are still being played. You probably have some rugby being played somewhere in the world. The Premier League is shut down for a little while. Baseball opening day is going to be pushed back. Spring training was shut down yesterday. Yes, Eden.
I think like UFC and Bellator and those sort of hand combat sports are all happening this weekend, which seems crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess there's already so much fluid exchange there anyway that it's like.
Is there anything else? Any other sporting events? Yeah, Paul.
I was thinking what you would have been watching if there was a full slate last night. It probably would have been Bulls Magic because you like those games that no one else is watching.
Yeah.
Like their Celtics Bucks was postponed last night, but you would have been watching Bulls Magic.
Probably so.
Someone had to.
Somebody has to do that.
Grizzlies, Trailblazers, late night, that'd have been you.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of the Blazers, C.J. McCollum, he has a podcast, and he had Carmelo Anthony on, and they found out in real time. So they're doing their podcast, and they found out the NBA season had been postponed.
Melo, I'm sure you see my face change.
Got another update?
Oh, no.
Starting indefinitely, games will be postponed.
I think I just got that.
Starting tomorrow.
So we're not playing?
I'm under the impression that we're not going to play tomorrow/today when this comes out.
This is just absolutely brutal.
It is. It's brutal for everybody, but not just your sport, sports in general. What happened with college kids. You know, you have college athletes who didn't even get a chance to have a season this year. Not just basketball. You know, spring lacrosse or spring baseball. There's volleyball. You know, smaller sports. And it's just as important to them as these major sports are, and those are all canceled as well. Now, there has been, I think Gino Auriemma is the one who spearheaded this, the UConn women's basketball coach. He had this to say about what can we do for the senior athletes.
It's an unprecedented event, so you have to take unprecedented measures. You can't say this year never happened and wipe away everything because some teams had amazing seasons, incredible accomplishments. They should not be diminished and shouldn't be wiped away. So in terms of each individual, I would be in favor of allowing all those that were seniors that have not had a chance to compete, not had a chance to play their spring season, that they should all be given another opportunity to play, regardless of what that does to your scholarship count, you know? And the NCAA should foot the bill for that. Okay, well, we have more people on scholarship than we anticipated. We can't pay for it. Well, the NCAA should pay for that extra year. And, well, that's going to put us over the scholarship limit. Doesn't matter. It's a one-time exception. And what do you do about basketball? I guess if you have 5 seniors like we do and you say, hey, look, they all have the opportunity to come back. Well, then you know what? And a kid wants to come back, God bless you. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think it puts college basketball, college athletics into a delicate position there because are you giving somebody an extra benefit? It's all about are you giving athletes an extra benefit by allowing them to come back for a do-over? Basketball players, you at least got to play an entire regular season. You didn't get the tournament. I understand that. You're disappointed, but I think it gets into a real tricky area. As much as we want to do something for the student athlete here, and then the NCAA might be saying, look, we're not capitalizing, cashing in on March Madness here. And that money, a good portion of that money probably goes to these secondary sports. So we'll talk to Jim Boeheim about that. But you're trying to bring back seniors, and then how many scholarship players do you have, and rosters and recruiting, and I don't think you can do it. As much as I would love to have that, if my baseball season was done before I even played, would I love to have an opportunity to come back? I would. It's an act of God here. But I just don't think that you can offer those extra benefits here for the student athlete. Yes, he.
I don't know the intricacies of all this, but is it any different than redshirting an athlete where you delay their participation for a year to benefit them?
It'd be too late to redshirt. Would be a problem.
Yeah, but my point being is that they make up rules to do exactly that, just depending on where in their career it is.
Well, I don't think the basketball players should have the opportunity to come back. But if you want to have somebody, lacrosse or baseball, whatever the spring sports are, and they didn't get that opportunity, and you can work that out, fine. But I think if you're bringing back basketball players, you've had an entire season, you just didn't get to play your tournament games. I wouldn't be in favor of that. Yeah, Paul.
I'm with you on this, Dan. If you wanted to extend them another year of eligibility and they want to pay to go to college and don't earn a scholarship, and no more extra scholarship, because that money does come from somewhere. The average student who loses their semester doesn't get an extra free semester next year to make up for the classes and the experience that they missed. So that would be an extra benefit that the average student wouldn't obtain.
Because they're students now. You know, my daughter is being sent home. So her last semester, in fact, my other daughter in law school, her last semester it's not going to be on campus. And not that she's asking for a bonus semester to have the experience of graduating with everybody else. But, you know, it gets tricky there. Yes, Eden.
Right, because I don't know that I necessarily agree with Gino Oriama either. I'm just trying to, sort of figure it out and see how this works. But don't players graduate and then still come back and play when they have eligibility?
Yeah.
Like you can play basketball at Duke and then transfer to Syracuse to be a quarterback, and somehow that all still works?
Yeah, grad transfer, but if you have eligibility.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe this is something that's new language, a new exemption. It's a one-time only exemption. And if they do that, I'm fine with it. You know, at this point, the things that I would be arguing about or for, that's very low on my list. But if somebody said, hey, we need to take care of these kids who missed out, missing out on March Madness is not the same as somebody whose entire sport was wiped out because of this. Griffin in Chicago on this topic. Hey, Griff, what do you have?
Hey, Dan, 6 foot, 235. I was thinking about the same thing, just trying to handle it. I don't know what the right way would be. I mean, I feel bad for all the baseball, softball, the rowing students. I'm kind of with Paulie. The more I think about this, do we give them an extra year? Do they just come back and pay on their own? I'm just trying to flush all this through and figure out what's the best way to handle it.
Yeah, it's new. It was brought up yesterday to me, and thanks for the call, Griff. Somebody said, "Oh, well, shouldn't we let him come back and play another year?" And I didn't think of it. And my initial reaction was, I don't think you can do that. But if you want to come back and you're not on scholarship and you want to play again, okay, then we can have a conversation about that. You know, we're working all of this out in real time. And this is minute by minute. It's like yesterday feels like 48 hours ago, not 24 hours ago. I don't even remember what happened on Monday. Weren't we talking about the Ivy League canceling their games?
That was Tuesday. Monday, we did not touch this topic on our show.
Yeah.
I got the rundown and all the notes. We didn't touch the coronavirus for 5 minutes on the show on Monday.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a break. Jim Boeheim, Syracuse head coach, will join us. What's he think of this extra year of eligibility? Also, what was the Big East doing yesterday? Tipping off when everybody else had canceled their tournaments. I just kept thinking. And a lot of this is optics. You know, golf, I think golf could still play with no fans there. But I think you don't want to have people watching and going, well, golfers get to play. Why don't, then we start to go, well, this sport doesn't have any contact with, your opposition. I think golf did the right thing here. Also with the collective bargaining agreement, also with free agency. Can you push that back so it doesn't look, the optics are bad that somebody's signing a 200, like Dak Prescott signing a, $200 million contract while the economy is tanking and people are out of work. It's a delicate time here. Your phone calls are welcome. 877-3DP show. Take a break. Jim Boeheim is next on the program. Discover the Discover credit card because it matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year automatically with no limit on how much you can earn, which is pretty amazing. In fact, it's even more amazing. According to the 2019 Nielsen report, over 95% of places in the United States that take credit cards take the Discover credit card, which makes me wonder, what about the other 5%? When it comes to Discover, get used to hearing the word yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. Discover.com/yes. Limitations apply. This program brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way in the all-new GT 4-door coupe, because life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you missed any of our interviews this week from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, go to the Dan Patrick Show app. Watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave. Mercedes-AMG driving performance. We'll settle on a poll question. Jim Boeheim set to join us. So the XFL has canceled the rest of its season, and that was a league that really needed these next couple of weeks. NASCAR is still going to hold their race in Atlanta. No fans are going to be there. Hockey has postponed their season. Baseball's postponed the start of their season. I was wondering if college basketball could have postponed March Madness. And I don't know what that window would have been. I'm sure that they thought about that, and we'll talk to Coach Boeheim about that. But I didn't know if there was a window where you said, hey, we can push it back a little bit, and then maybe we could still play the NCAA tournament. Let's bring in the Syracuse head coach. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I've never been in a worse time, worse place, and that I can remember, and I'm sure everybody is in the same boat that I'm in.
How did you hear about the tournament being canceled?
You know, we were in the morning going over, looking at some tape of Louisville, which, we didn't like looking at that. It's the worst loss we had this year. And, just looking at that, getting ready and, coming off the best game we played all year. So had some optimism, obviously. But, you thought it was coming. I think really one of the problems is when the NBA canceled, it kind of pushed everybody a little bit. And the one thing that bothers, the only thing that, we have to do this, and there's probably no question about that. But the thing that bothers me with the NBA and baseball and golf, they all can take 30 days off. And they can come back, and hopefully it'll be good. They'll be able to. We don't know that. But hopefully 30, 40 days, things we'll see what's there, and we'll see maybe we can now go forward. And they all can resume. College athletes are done. They're done. And I knew that when they canceled the tournament, that day the NCAA tournament was over, because in a week you're not going to know. 2 weeks. What is it? Maybe a month won't be enough. Maybe it would be 2 months. And irregardless, the college season's over. And for our sport, I look at a team like Dayton. I look at a team that just won their conference tournament in a major upset, and those players are the most excited they've ever been in their life. And now that's all gone. I look at our lacrosse, men's lacrosse team's number 1 in the country. Our women's team's number 4. Cornell, right down the road, men's lacrosse number 2. Those guys have worked their tails off. It's all gone. And maybe we'll look back and this is 100% the right thing to do. I hope it is. But you have to feel for those kids who have put themselves into that position. And I'm sending players home. We're sending players home. And is that a good thing? We have players from New York. Is that a good thing to send them there? So I don't know what the answers are. I just feel for all these college athletes that have worked their whole life to get to the NCAA tournament, and now that's gone. So I hope I hope this is the right thing to do.
Gino Auriemma said that maybe we should allow these seniors to be able to come back to play. I don't know if we could do a one-time exemption, Coach.
I think you can do. The NCAA, as we found in the past, can do anything they want to do.
Would you be in favor of this?
Yeah, again, we're talking about student athletes. Are we going to do what's right for them? I think it's more true of, especially, remember when the Duke, obviously we don't want to think about it, when the Duke thing happened in lacrosse years, not that long, those kids all came back, I think, or a significant portion of them did. And I think they even won the national championship. I might be off a little bit, but I think they might have, or come close. Yeah, there's precedent for it. I don't see why not. I think in basketball you may have difficulty recreating that. But yeah, I mean, I don't see why you couldn't do that. There's some precedent for it. Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good idea. You didn't have that, did you?
No. Gino Auriemma did. Yeah. Obviously, I did.
Had it. I hate to give him credit too, but my only concern is what are you going to talk about for the next 2 months? Is it rerun, Dan Patrick rerun time, or what?
Coach,
I mean, I don't know.
Coach, I'm worried about you.
Well, I'm really worried because I'm home and I've been home a day now. And my wife is looking at me cross-eyed, and we can't recruit and we can't, work guys out. We can't. I don't know what's gonna. This is not going to be good.
Wait, so you can't hold a practice or any kind of workouts?
As far as I know, nothing. And I mean, I think that will be looked at some point, but I'm worried about our 3 or 4 foreign guys. What are they going to do? They can't go home. So we got to figure that out. I'm worried about academics. Our guys, fortunately, we have good students, but they're used to having tutoring and help. And if they all go home, what happens there? So I'm worried about all that stuff.
I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but the Big East actually tipped off and then canceled at halftime. Coach, what the hell was going on there?
I did. Well, I think, I know I'm wrong when I say this, but if there was a czar of college sports and college basketball, and I was it, I would have said, let's play these tournaments this weekend with no fans. Let's look at what happens Monday or Tuesday. Where are we? And, there was no appetite for that, but I think I would have thought something like that. That's what I was thinking really when they decided to start playing the conference tournaments. Let's play them, see where we are. But again, I think once the decision was made to send students home by the Ivy League schools and some other schools, I think then it had to follow. Well, we can't have spring sports because we've sent the students home. Yeah. We can't now keep the athletes here.
But the public pressure, that felt like that was pretty heavy, and that played a large role in this.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of pressure, no question about it. And this, again, we will look back and say this was the right decision, 100%. But I don't think anybody knows right now. You see, there's a doctor, two I think, well-respected doctors that we're talking about. This is, if you're healthy, you're going to get a cold, you're going to be sick for a couple of days, and you're going to be all right. But that might be wrong. It might be the other way, where we have to stop this now, and this is the best way to do it. But when you send students home, where are they going to go out? They're going to go to the mall, they're going to go to clubs, they're going to be out in the public. They're not going home and stay in their apartment or their house. So, there's danger for the students wherever they go. And in some places they go, it's going to be more dangerous than it is here in Syracuse.
Talking to Jim Boeheim, Syracuse head coach. Well, at least you won your last game.
Well, isn't the team that wins the last game of the year the national championship? I don't know. I just wondered about that.
Do you want to declare yourself the national champs?
No, I think that would be a stretch.
Oh, okay. Jim Boeheim, celebrate. Go out there and cut down the nets today.
That would be a stretch, but, you're always happy to win that game. We've been up and down. We're a young team, and we've had some really good wins, and we've had some terrible losses. But North Carolina just came in here and beat us at home by 11 or 12. It was probably could have been 15. And to go down there and play in North Carolina and win that game, we just played a great game. So it's a good memory for all of our young players. Our young players all played well. We have no seniors, so it was a great way to end the season basketball-wise. But I just feel bad for all these teams, that once in a lifetime, you look back on the NCAA tournament and all the players I've had, that's what they look back on, their experience in the NCAA tournament, especially a really good experience, Sweet 16 or Final Four. I mean, that's what college players look back on, and it's tough for that all to be gone. It's probably 100% the right thing to do, but it still doesn't feel good for all those players. The Oregon women's great player, Simonescu, comes back for her senior year, and now it's gone. I know our lacrosse team. I watch these guys. I love lacrosse. It's a great sport. Might be better than any sport to watch for me. And these guys work out all year long. I mean, they live and die to get into the NCAA tournament and do something. And it's just the times we live in. Based on all the information around the world, it looks like we have to do these things, but it still doesn't make it any easier.
Do you got a hobby? Do you got a hobby?
I used to play golf, but I'm so bad now. I try to go fishing, but when you go out there and can't catch fish, now you really got a problem. So it's like, you're not, fishing is one thing. The idea when you go fishing is to catch fish, and I haven't figured that one out yet. I do a lot of fishing, but
not a lot of catching.
Not catching. I think, I like guys that catch. I go with one guy that catches, so when I go with him, I catch a few, but it's not that easy, fishing.
Did you hear that Fritzy's son, who probably answers the phone every time you call, Fritzy's son is going to Syracuse next year?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I hope we're here, and I hope everything is good, and I hope we get through this. Everybody is praying for that.
And you're still planning on being there coaching, right?
I have no other plan. This might extend my career, this abrupt end.
People are going to forget that you probably weren't going to make the tournament, and then you get another year.
Well, we can always say, geez, we're on a roll. We could have made the tournament. We almost can count this as, well, yeah, we would have been in the tournament.
Of course you were. Yeah, you would have gone on a roll. You would have had revenge against Louisville. Absolutely.
Highly unlikely, but it's possible, and we're gonna hold to that thin little hope, and that's what it's gonna be. But I just, this is just such a time, and all we do now is this time of year when we're done is watch the tournament and get ready to get our players ready for next year, get through all our academic stuff, get recruiting done, with the transfers and everything. Now you're recruiting all year long. There's no off season. You're recruiting even for next year now, not for the year after. You're recruiting for this coming year. So there's so many changes, and that's gone. So it's going to be a difficult adjustment, but we have to make sure that we stay as healthy as possible. I'm a little worried. My son's at Cornell. They're still going to class. I can't figure that out. They're usually smarter than we are. My son always says when there's an issue about we're having a disagreement, he says, well, I go to Cornell. That's his answer. And so I go, okay. But then he also said he has a cold. He's afraid to come home and infect me. He's worried about me. I'm 75, so I don't know.
At your age, you got to be worried about this.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm healthy. I don't know.
You look 73.
I'd say maybe you might be a little optimistic there, but
Coach K looks younger than you.
Well, he is. What are you talking? He is younger than me. Come on.
He looks a lot younger than you.
Well, he dyes his hair. I think. I'm not sure.
Wow.
I'm not sure.
Wow.
But I think. I don't know.
Wow.
Don't say if that gets out. I just lost my best friend. I'm in trouble now. So
no, it'll never get out. If you, I know you won't get that bored, but if you do get bored and you need to call in and just talk to somebody,
Well, I'm going to have to call in because you're going to be sitting there talking about. I don't know. Give me any idea what you even know.
I know we got free agency.
I only know about basketball.
We got football free agencies coming up here. They'll hold the draft.
Well, the one thing you know is there will be football because there's nothing else. There will be professional football.
Are you a Buffalo Bills fan?
my son Jimmy is. Of course, he's at Cornell. You have to understand that. I've always been a Patriots fan, and I've liked Belichick and Brady, and had the opportunity to meet Brady. He was the nicest. He was. I mean, I know there's 3/4 of your fan base is mad at me now because I like Tom Brady, but nicest guy I've talked to in a long time. And
did he talk to the players when he came up?
He was great. We had a harsh game, and usually I don't even talk to the players when we lose like that to North Carolina. But he was great. He gave 4 or 5 minutes to them. That was, I thought, really, he just hit every right chord. And I've been a big fan of his, so I'm just going to come out and say this. He loves to play football. A lot of times guys want to keep their job. They want to play. They want the limelight, or they want the money, or whatever it is. This guy he just loves it. You could see it just coming out of him. He just loves to play football.
Did he tell you he's going to stay with the Patriots?
He did not tell me that, and I did not ask him that. I'd like to be friends with him, or at least.
Well, you got to show you care about him, so you would ask him about that.
I did say I was an avid Patriot fan.
Yeah.
And my son, Buddy, is an avid Patriot fan. And that's as far as I took it. But, we'll see. Edelman was up here. He was great. And, it was just great to have them up here. They're just two class guys. And their message was great. And I just want, I want Tom Brady to play on a good football team and show that he can do something that has never been done before. And I think if there's one guy that can play when he's 43 years old and do it well, I think it's him. I really do. The only thing, we had Rob Gronkowski up here, and the only thing I asked him in his last year, it was just at the end of his last year, how does Brady throw the football in comparison? He said, Coach, just as good as he ever threw it, ever. And, that was interesting.
Who retires first, you or Brady?
Oh, it's a close call. That's a close call. It depends how good we are. Our fans weren't too happy with me this year. They didn't like me being. There was a group that was like, you might be too old here, but we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, my best to your wife, because good God, she's going to have to put up with you. Find a hobby, Jim. Find a hobby. Yeah.
She's giving me the evil look right now that I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
like, can't you go to work now?
Take a walk. Take a walk. Shoot.
She said, go to work or do the laundry, one or the other. So, and I cannot do the laundry, so that's out. So I guess we're limited. Well, we can do it. I'm sure you're not a bit better than me, so I'm not going to feel bad here.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. I appreciate your time. That's Jim Boeheim. Could you imagine? He sounds like that when they win. I mean, if you tune in, you're like, oh, Boeheim, man, he's in a good mood. I can't imagine his lovely wife with Jim just there with his head in his hand.
Like the Pete Townsend album cover?
Like slumped over like this. He's just there at the dinner, breakfast table.
Chicken again.
What are we going to have for breakfast? Take a break. Phone calls coming up. Play of the day right after this. I mentioned these patches yesterday. Cedar Rapids, St. Peter Police. That feels like it's a higher ground, like really high up. Wolf Pup. This is Canada. Correctional Services. This is a really busy patch. Special Amphibious Reconnaissance Corpsman. Dang. The difficult anytime, the impossible by appointment only. Thanks. This is, I think that's French. French for guys jumping out of a helicopter, maybe firefighters. Nashville Fire Department, Canada, another Canada, Richland, Washington. I did get a box from, this is the Salem Red Sox. They're going to have Nickelback night, and how about that? Nickelback vinyl. What else do we have? I asked for a jersey, and a jersey I get. I got that. That looks good. Let me see. We got the patch here. Red Sox. I got Beer Mongers Baseball. Jersey. Another jersey. Beer Monger. I got a stuffed animal. Let's see. Damaged. An Orioles mascot and a green monster. They already wrote that it's damaged. How do they know it's damaged before it got here? So this is the Beer Mongers. And those are glasses. And those are glasses. And those are... Wait, I thought it said damaged. Damaged. And they spelled damaged wrong. That's not how you spell damaged. Orioles mascot and one green monster. All I'm getting is our glasses. Caverns. These are Blacksburg things to do when we go there. Blue Ridge Mountain. Let's see. Here's Billy's, a place to be. Billy's Roanoke. 202 Social. Like, we have our whole day and night planned for us if we go there. Emily is the person who is the marketing and promotions manager. Hi, Emily. I know you're watching, and thanks for the jersey. We appreciate that. I'll go out there and hang that up. I got to go back and do the show.
Oh my God!
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it! They're gonna play it and play it.
This is the play of the day. Check this out.
Here is Jack Canfield. They bring the double on him. He's in some trouble. Finally gets it away to Jones. Jones tries to dribble in, finds Ballock in the corner, and knocks down the three-pointer.
Yeah, that's about it. Top-seeded St. John's up at halftime, the Big East. No, that'd be Creighton top-seeded, right? Big East decides to cancel the tournament after the first half. Where's Mario? With top-seeded St. John's up at the half. Is St. John's the top seed?
No, they were like an 8 seed or
Creighton.
something like that. Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of games yesterday to get confused by, Mario.
You only had one game to get correct. And Mario takes great pride in the, I got a song for the play of the day. I'll go, great. Creighton Sports Radio with a call. How about we get the facts correct? I mean, Prince, When Doves Cry. So that's our play of the day. See, Todd, you're not the only one who gets yelled at.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, you get yelled at more than anybody else, but that's Mario, who had one thing to do today. That's it. Play of the day.
0 for 1's not going to get you into the hole.
No, it's not. Yeah, Paul.
I think this could be explained by last night on YouTube at 7 p.m. Eastern. We replayed week 1 of season 1 of AUA basketball.
Yeah.
Got a lot of people, a lot of eyeballs last night. But Mario is dreading the upcoming games, if you know what I mean.
Well, when we get to the the Final Four. Yes,
Well, see, he actually has a streak of very good games. I think he was the second leading scorer in the whole league. He actually had a great season. He just had a terrible 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. Play of the day brought to you by Tecovas. Tecovas boots, handmade with full grain leathers by world-class boot makers. Tecovas cuts out the middleman and sells directly to you at amazing prices. Shipping, returns, exchanges, free and easy. Visit tecovas.com/DP. Tecovas Western Goods for new frontiers. Tommy in Florida joins us. Hey, Tommy, what do you have for me today?
Hey, 5'10", 220. My statement kind of goes with how downhill does this all go? The Detroit Tigers have the first overall pick in June. They're looking at, number of people. Spencer Torkelson in Arizona State is their projected guy, but if his season gets canceled, how are they supposed to draft him first overall, give him all that money? Like, how far does this go?
I don't know. I mean, we're working. This is a workshop 101 trying to figure all this out, including doing this show. But, there's a lot of things on hold right now. Like if the NBA ended today and we waited, let's say they wait 30 days and then they resume. The NBA has the option to be able to do that, it feels like. They could still get their season in. Now, they might be playing in late June, early July, but the standings today, the matchup, the Pelicans wouldn't make it into the that 8th seed and face the Lakers in the opening round. What would be the matchups that we would have? Yeah, Paul.
First round, you have Lakers, Grizzlies, Clippers, Mavericks first round, Nuggets, Rockets first round.
Okay.
Ooh, that's saucy.
Yeah.
Jazz, Thunder first round. In the East, you got Milwaukee Bucks, Orlando Magic.
Ooh, Jazz Thunder rematch, Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, Jazz Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
That would so in the East you would have Bucks, Magic, Raptors, Nets, Celtics, 76ers, saucy, and then Heat, Pacers.
Yeah, a little bit of a drop off there. Yes, Todd.
Celtics, Sixers, that's fun. I know it dates back many years. But...
Yeah, but nobody cares that it dates back 40 years ago when it was a good matchup. I don't think anybody cares now. You do. Yeah. Boy, remember back in the 80s?
It was like the only two teams to play. It was either Celtics, Lakers, Sixers, Lakers, Celtics, Sixers. It was like 3 or 4 different combinations of the same team.
What do you got on today?
I'm wearing my last year's Final Four Minneapolis hat and shirt from the Final Four last year. I'm feeling a little depressed.
You don't throw anything out, do you?
I don't.
You do.
But I thought this was the right day to wear it.
No, it's nice. We had a great time in Minneapolis.
It was awesome.
We really did. Had a wonderful time in Minneapolis last year. All right, more phone calls coming up. And we'll check in on the Tom Brady free agency situation coming up next hour.
weeks.
I know. I'm rewind. I already watched season 1 about.
Season 2 was the season of the women. The women were empowered in season 2.
It was almost like, it was almost like Jason Bateman's character said, "I'm going to take a back seat."
That's it.
Yeah, your money. I propose that Paulie is on my team for the AUAA season 2.
I don't know if I'm playing. I'm still retired. The shoulder, the finger, and the knee are horrible, and I stink.
Well, but I can make you better.
So wait a minute, you two are going to be on the same team together? That's part of your arranged marriage system?
Well, you can have Paulie if you want. We're just trying to create some fairness in
Are you putting together
AUAA.
Are you putting together a super team?
Yeah, not exactly. I propose.
What are you talking about? This guy's money.
I know. If you don't guard him, I propose you. Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Batten the hatches.
How can we limit the exposure here?
Cover your windows in plastic.
This is bigger than March Madness in our brackets. This is bigger than the start of Major League Baseball.
And enjoy the Dan Patrick Show at a reasonable value.
A safe place to go.
Safely from the confines of your home.
Clayton Kershaw, you guys are disgusting, like licking your fingers and rolling the ball and spitting, and I mean, come on, you guys are like a petri dish.
I would agree when you put it like that, but I will say basketball and hockey are a little bit different in that, like, they're literally sweating all over each other, you know, checking guys and posting up and things like that. So that seems more of like a hotbed than like a baseball game, in my opinion. But I'm no doctor.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave.
Hell, I'd vote for you for president.
This is Dan Patrick.
Hour 2 on this Friday, Traeger Meat Friday at that. We'll have some Meat Friday songs. We actually have some meat on the grill. We got some brats and burgers, trying to raise morale around here. We don't know what we're doing, which I can say that just about any day, but I can truly say that today. We're not quite sure what we're doing, but we're all in this together, whether you're listening or watching. If you're watching on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show or the Fox Sports Radio lineup, we say good morning to you. Fritzy's here. McLovin left early to go pick up his kids. Seaton's here. Paulie is as well. And yours truly. Poll question for the second hour. We're going to check in with Tom Curran, NBC Sports Boston, on free agency, the legal tampering, Tom Brady. That starts on Monday. There was a report that maybe we would have free agency pushed back a little bit. You also have the collective bargaining agreement that votes have to be in on Saturday night. Are they going to pass this? Should they pass this, considering the economic climate right now? So we'll talk to Tom Curran about that. Here's the poll question. Next week, Tom Brady will be staying with the Patriots, joining another team, or no decision made. I think there's a lot of drama, maybe not a lot, but a little bit of drama left to be played out with all of this, that I still believe that there aren't 8 teams interested in Tom Brady. Now, you might have interest in Tom, but are you interested in signing Tom Brady to a 2-year deal for $50 million or $60 million? I still think this comes back to, you get together. The Patriots just want to know what Tom wants, because he wanted to be a free agent, get that opportunity to be a free agent. Then they assume he's coming back then to tell them, this is what I want, because you want some leverage here. You get another team. If Tampa's going to go all in on him, what are they going to offer you, Tom? Then come back to us because they don't want to bid against themselves. You wanted to be a free agent? Go be a free agent. Let's see who's interested in you. Have we had any quote from the San Francisco 49ers yet with Kyle Shanahan? Unless Kyle Shanahan says, that I'm not going to dignify that topic. We have our court. Like if he said that, then I go, okay, Jimmy Garoppolo is your quarterback. Unless he feels like you're saying there's a chance, and maybe that's why he's not saying anything. But if I'm Garoppolo, at some point, don't you just say, Coach, you going to back me up in the media? And the odd part of all this is Don Yee is Garoppolo's agent and Brady's agent. Imagine those conversations. Because your agent, how honest is he with you about another client who you might be competing for to keep your job? And I think with free agency with Brady, it gets a little dicey. Yeah, Paulie.
Can you imagine being the agent for Brady and Garoppolo? Garoppolo's got a lot of years left. Brady does not. But if you're Don Yee, the agent for Brady, are you his agent in the next portion of his career? Are you going to be with him post-football? Because that would depend on what my priority would be, who I take care of, Garoppolo or Brady.
Tom Curran just sent this note. Are the Patriots even just a quarterback away from another Super Bowl, regardless of whether Brady stays or goes? So we'll talk to Tom Curran coming up a little bit later on. But he's right. I wonder, are they going to get a couple of weapons here? The offensive line will be better this upcoming season. What are you going to do on defense? You've got some free agents that you could be losing here. And the Patriots may look at this and say, we're not ready to win a championship. We're not close. And maybe that's why we don't want to spend that money on Tom Brady. I still feel he ends up with the Patriots. I still feel that he ends up back there. But that's our poll question here for this second hour. Phone calls are always welcome, 877-3DP-SHOW. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, talking about how long the NBA will be out.
This hiatus will be most likely at least 30 days. And we don't know enough, as you've all said, to be more specific than that. But we wanted to give direction to our players and teams and to our fans that this is going to be roughly at least a month.
That's courtesy of Inside the NBA. Mark Cuban, the Mavericks owner, on what's going to happen the next 4 games.
We talked again this morning with our folks at the AAC and getting the numbers. For the next 4 Mavs games, we have a program where the next 4 would have been Mavs games. We'll pay our employees our hourly employees as if they worked. And then we also have to deal with the downstream effects of smaller businesses that don't have the balance sheets maybe to survive this, because these are our customers, our fans, the people who buy tickets, and we want to be good citizens in the community. So we have to be aware of what might happen.
I saw where Kevin Love donated $100,000 to the workers of Quicken Loans Arena as well during this troubled times. NCAA canceling the men's and women's tournaments. Also spring sports as well. XFL ends its season. Baseball has ended spring training and delayed the season opener there. Now you got to figure out where can you play games, when can you play games, how long does the season, is it extended? Do you have maybe a truncated season with Major League Baseball? You got PGA Tour. They had 1 round of the Players' Championship in Ponte Vedra. Now they're saying the tournament is canceled. The next 3 events, I believe, are going to be postponed. And then you're going to have the Masters, and the Masters is its own governing body. So we're in no man's land. This is new territory. Yes, Tom?
I'm seeing tweets and also on one of our screens that this year's Masters tournament has been postponed. No further details about when that would be.
All right. Who reported that?
Jason Sobel tweeted it, and I'm looking at one of the broadcasts above saying that next month's Masters has been postponed.
Okay. All right. And that's early, first week in August or April. Yeah, Paul.
The Masters official social media page tweeted out from their chairman, Ridley, quote, considering the latest information and expert analysis, we have decided at this time to postpone the Masters national finals. Postpone, not cancel, but postpone.
Okay.
They have no other details.
But then you get into other tournaments there and you try to find a hole in the schedule. Could you still have the Masters at some point this year? That's what I'd be curious about. Can you ask the PGA Tour maybe if they know that, Augusta is probably not going to respond to us, but if you could reach out and just say, or is there a golf writer you can reach out to and just say, what could Plan B present for the Masters to still have it? Yeah, Paulie.
As part of their Masters statement on their website, they said, we hope this postponement puts us in the best position to safely host the Masters tournament and our amateur events at some later date.
Okay.
So again, postpone, not cancel.
Okay. Yeah, it's happening in real time, and we obviously don't have all the answers, but being able to shut down these leagues, I think, is the smart thing to do right now. And I've been accused of overreacting, and maybe I've overreacted to this. I said the NCAA tournament should have been shut down. I'd rather be accused of overreacting than underreacting, given what's at stake here. And I want to reiterate this. This was from a friend of mine who works in the emergency room at a Houston area hospital. Please let people know, yes, younger people, if they get the virus, it's not going to kill them. This is older people. If they get it, then obviously more susceptible. But let's not make it seem like your grandparents are, dispensable, where you just go, older people get it. Well, imagine if it's in your world and it's your parents or grandparents who are going to get this. That's the way you have to view this. But the person in the emergency room in Houston said, this is about staffing. This is about supplies. It's about having hospital beds, because if you do have this influx of people with the coronavirus who need to be hospitalized, it could be taking up beds that if you went in for a surgery, you might not have. So the staffing is really important in this. And she wanted me to just tell your audience, this is what we're dealing with. It's going to be taxing on all of the hospitals, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. And probably the next 30 to 60 days, you're going to see the numbers spiking here. That's from somebody who works in the emergency room. They haven't had a coronavirus situation yet, but she said, we are preparing for that. But even then, how many are you preparing for? A couple of phone calls here, and coming up, John Ourand from the Sports Business Journal on just the financial impact of all of this with what's happening with leagues. Is there a league that is really vulnerable now because there won't be any sports? The Premiership is suspending play. National Hockey League is suspending play. NASCAR still running without fans coming up this weekend. Yeah, Paul.
The one I was most curious about is the XFL. For a minute yesterday, I was wondering if the XFL would somehow try to keep playing to take advantage of this gap in the sports schedule, but I know they can't. But the XFL, which seems tenuous at best, losing any traction they have seems the most dangerous.
Well, as much as you would want to, because there's a hole in the schedule, there's a reason why there's a hole in the schedule, and that is you shouldn't be playing any sporting events where there's a large gathering. And the XFL, even if you play it, there's no fans there. It's still a physical sport, and you can't do it. And a lot of this is the optics. I felt like golf, it was the optics. If you don't have fans at the Players' Championship today, okay, it's just your golfer with your caddy and that golfer with the other caddy. There's no contact here. You don't have to even give a fist pump or bump there. You don't have to give anything. But the optics of that, I think that's where you have to say, no, it's best if we shut this down. Let's be in compliance with everybody else here. Andrew in Oregon joins us. Hey, Andrew, what do you have for me today?
Good morning, gentlemen. 5'11" and a solid 330. So just wanted to touch a little bit on the seniors possibly getting extensions on their careers at college and the NCAA. Do you think that they would have an issue later on with former student athletes that were not granted extensions?
What do you mean?
So there have been seniors in the past that were looking for hardship, fifth-year seniorship.
No. This would be a one-time only, Andrew. Thanks for the phone call. This is an exception. You can call it an act of God exception here for these senior athletes. To me, I'm not in favor of it. I certainly understand those athletes in the spring sports who didn't even get a season. But I just think if you're bringing back, 4 seniors and now you have 17 basketball players, if you want to come back and play and you pay for yourself, then I'd be in favor of that. But I feel bad for the spring athletes because they didn't even get a season. And if you're a senior, and let's say you're on a team that could compete for a national championship, that's really difficult to take because there's no recourse right now. Dan in North Carolina joins us. Hey, Dan, what do you have for me? Hey, Dan. Thanks, Dan. Wait, do we have him? Hey, Dan. No, we just hung up on him. Adam in Oregon. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, bud.
6 foot, 214.
All right.
So my question that I had was, do I actually win the Danette for the day in the DP Challenge? Because I didn't fill out a bracket at all. So technically I was the most right?
Well, there are quite a few people that didn't. There's a tie for first, Adam, with a couple of thousand people. And it'll be really hard to bring a couple of thousand people into the man cave. But we will have this contest. We couldn't do it with the bracket challenge. And I feel bad about that, but we'll figure out something where we have a Danette for the day. It's just we weren't able to do it. Yeah, Seton.
Yeah, we had a lot of people do a lot of work in a very little amount of time, and then the tournament was canceled, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, Todd did a great job in corralling.
Oh, I wasn't thinking him, but the other people that did work.
Yeah. Now we'll try to come up with something, but we just couldn't do it. Obviously. Yes, Paul.
There is some irony to this because not me so much, but Todd and Seton and McLovin have been handling the bracket contest for years. And for years and years, it's always come together at the last minute. We barely get it together. We kind of get together. This year, we were more organized than ever, and we really had it together, and it gets canceled.
So frustrating.
Yeah. Sorry, Seton.
Yeah, it's a bummer because for years we've been told that we couldn't do what we were going to do this year, and we were able to figure it out, and we got partners that could take care of it. So it is a little bit of a bummer. But the good news is that next year it's going to be
even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
And I like that, I had the authority to say we can have somebody who wins be a Danette for a day. I didn't have to go through management. I didn't have to go through anybody. And I thought it was a great grand prize. You get to be a Danette for a day. But we will have a contest where somebody is a Danette for a day. And they can sit in the back row with Fritzy. And Fritzy can cough all over them.
What a great prize.
Yeah. But they get, do we give them a choice of where they get to sit?
Yeah.
Front row, back row?
We have room up here.
Okay. Yes, Todd.
Yeah, if they're in the mindset of suck it back row, they're not going to want any part of being back here. They're going to want to hang with Seton and Paul up front.
Yes, Seton.
Chat row, just throwing that out there too. They could be the moderator or something.
Oh, they could take Tyler's job?
Yeah, moderator.
Yeah, Tyler is Tyler the moderator. So it's not Tyler the creator, it's Tyler the moderator. Yeah. He runs around with a computer screen and
very serious.
Oh, it's so fun. Well, look, we have guys who are doing a couple of jobs here. You may do a job in the morning and may do a job in the afternoon. But Tyler the moderator is doing a great job there. Monitoring chat row. Yes, for two.
We give him a lot of grief, but he is so intensely wanting to please. You have to respect and appreciate that. He's always looking to see how he can make everybody more comfortable and get everything done.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
All right. That's what you are. You're a pleaser as well.
I get it. I appreciate people like that. He's always looking for what can I do to help everybody out. I'm not really a team player, so I can appreciate what Tyler does. He's always looking to see.
You're never looking to see what you could do to help other people out.
I'm just in my own little world coughing, and that's just the way.
Not never, just not so far.
I'll get there. Yeah, you think eventually I'll turn things around.
How many years has it been?
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I'm in my own little bubble doing my thing. Occasionally I'll talk to you guys.
Occasionally you'll ask the cameraman's name and remember it. There's small things
outside
like
of that. It's all about me. Very selfish.
That is true. You're a selfish giver.
Not good.
Like
it's not a good quality.
Yeah, minimum kindness.
That's what it is.
That's you. Ladies and gentlemen, minimum kindness. What was the fake tweet that came out, Seton? By the way, we heard from the Salem Red Sox. They have Nickelback night, and they sent me vinyl. I got an album of Nickelback.
Oh, sweet.
And yeah.
Greatest hits? Or is it just one of their earlier collections?
I think it's called Greatest Hit. And it's a...
Look at this photograph!
That's pretty good, Seton.
Oh, no, you open the door and you know who's ready at the...
Time to say,
No.
time to say
Okay.
goodbye.
How about a Nickelback off?
Make it as a wise man, didn't make it as a poor man.
Okay, you criticize Springsteen. You can't understand him, and I can't
That's
understand.
very close.
I can't understand.
All right. Very similar. I see that.
If I had Springsteen on, would you sing for Springsteen?
Absolutely.
Because Springsteen doesn't strike me as having a sense of
Definitely
humor.
not. If
No.
I start going,
That's supposed to be me.
Yeah. What was the fake tweet on Nickelback?
There's like an Onion type news article going around right now that says, unaware of coronavirus, Nickelback continues tour of playing to empty stadiums.
Man. Too soon.
Wow.
Too soon.
God, that's
It's
mean.
like, they're still
It's awesome, but it's mean.
like they're playing games to no fans, but Nickelback is still touring to empty stadiums. Show must go on.
Doing encores.
Thank you, Cleveland. Cleveland. Good night. We'll take a break here. We'll talk to John Ourand of the Sports Business Journal, the business side of what's happened here with all these postponements here, and the league that can ill afford taking a couple of weeks off. Yes.
Like one of the guys from Nickelback woke up this morning and saw it. I was like, what the hell? Like, what did we do? What did we do? That was so wrong.
Nickelback's not bothering anybody, are they?
Hey, let me see what's the latest update on coronavirus. Let me check Twitter real quick. What the hell?
If we get 1 week off,
what did we do?
they think maybe this week we'll get off being poked. Just a 1 week off.
And they can't even get 1 week off due to the coronavirus.
Imagine Dragons is holding their breath.
One of them is like, yeah, well, my bank account's not empty.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah.
Do you think Imagine Dragons is the next Nickelback?
Oh, yeah.
That's not even, I don't even know if that's a hot take anymore.
They're playing outside right now
That's
by
like
the Traeger
common
Grill.
knowledge.
Yeah. Like they're playing always, everywhere.
Another one.
Let me take a break here. Coming up on 20 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. Simply Safe Home Security. It says it all right there in the title. It's simple to install, and it keeps you safe. Two-time winner of CNET Editor's Choice Award. Blankets your whole home in safety. Comprehensive protection for your entire home. Outdoor cameras, doorbell alerts. They thought of everything. You barely notice it's even there. But what's truly remarkable is you set up the system by yourself. When they first came in, this has to be 10 years ago. And that guy came in, the sales guy, and he was like, hey, you can install it. And I go, no, I can't. He goes, no, you can. And I'll be damned. I could. 30 minutes. Now, some people say it takes a little bit more than that, depending on what you're installing. But you get protection 24/7 and police dispatch in a moment's notice. About 50 cents a day, no contracts to sign. The Verge calls Simply Safe the best home security system. Go to simplysafedan.com today. Get free shipping, 60-day risk-free trial. You got nothing to lose, but everything. Go now. Make sure you tell them we sent you. simplysafedan.com. simplysafedan.com. Oh, 0 and 27.
0 and 27 every day.
Not 27-0.
No, it could be either way, but
think
0
I got
27 for the scoreboard.
Go ahead.
Gobert?
Rudy Gobert is
Mitchell?
27.
I don't know.
0 is not Donovan Mitchell.
0 is no more games.
0 is a jersey number.
Kevin Love.
Kevin
Oh,
Love,
nice.
The generous Kevin Love, who's trying to give back.
Now, starting next week, if you guess the numbers on here, you will win some DP Show swag.
That is
So
correct.
every day, Todd will have his numbers up here.
We are looking
And
forward to
then
giving out prizes, Dan Patrick Show swag. If you can figure out what the home and guest.
starting on
inclusion-
Monday, if you guess it, then you'll get some DP Show gear.
Play along, won't you?
Okay, thanks, Todd.
We've taken a pause. I'm a little hesitant to use the word suspension because our hope and our expectation is when things get back to normal and it's safe and it's prudent that we can go back and resume the season and ultimately have the Stanley Cup award.
It's Gary Bettman, NHL Commissioner, explaining the status of the current season. Discover NHL Play of the Week. You want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year and does so automatically. And Discover's accepted at over 95% of places in the United States that take credit cards. So learn more at discover.com/yes. 2019 Nielsen report is the one responsible for those numbers. Limitations apply. Jeff in Detroit joins us. Hey, Jeff, what do you have for me today?
Oh, Dan, sitting here was thinking a couple of statements. First of all, to the first responders, I like to tell them thank you and that I'm praying for you because we know that they're the first ones, the first line of defense. With this only being the third month, and the year has been brutal. The death of Kobe's daughter, the death of Kobe, and the other people that lost, lives were lost in the plane. Now we're faced with a global pandemic. Human population is being affected. And the one thing that I'm coming to understand and see is that we as a people have to get back to just flat out loving and coming together because it seems like we were separated. And now it seems like with this, we definitely got to work together. The thing about this coronavirus is it has nothing to attach to. It doesn't know money. It doesn't know color. It doesn't know race. Somebody's going to need your help. The question is, are you going to help them? Because I know us with, my mom is 85 years of age. I don't even want her to go out the house. But I'm very, very happy that it's people like you, Rich Eisen, and others that are on the air keeping us calm and letting us know what's going on. It's a shame that Mark Cuban sounds more presidential than my president, but hey, I'm not going to go down that road. One thing that I say, reach out to your loved ones. Reach out to those that you might not have talked to in a little while and just see if they need something. You never know.
Thank you, Jeff. We appreciate it. As always, great to hear from you. John Ourand, Sports Business Journal, a Sports Business Journal reporter, and has been there with Sports Business since 2006. And, John, I wanted to have you on because, we're in uncharted territory here with these leagues hitting the pause button here. But, when you start to look at this, the trickle down with people who work at the stadiums and jerseys and, concessions. I mean, there's so much of an impact that how do you quantify the impact that this is going to have on the sports world?
Gosh, that's an impossible question to answer because the trickle down even goes as far as let's say the NBA starts up the playoffs after 30 days, which is, a possibility. How many people are going to go and sit in the stands there? And so all of a sudden you have attendance problems. We're on the doorstep of a recession right now. How many advertisers are still going to be paying these top dollars to get their messaging out across that? You have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of rights fees in the NCAA tournament, which is just not being played now. Like, how is that going to become whole now with CBS and Turner, which just told me they sold a record high revenue against that tournament field. This ban has been, for me, one of the most just a wild week for anybody, but in particular in terms of reporting on the sports business. I got to talk to top people at all the networks, all the leagues, all the teams. Nobody knows anything. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows what it's going to look like a week from now, 2 weeks from now, or a month from now. And everybody's just sort of like, it's just like, it's not even a holding pattern. Things change just so quickly, and they're just trying to react more than plan out.
And you also have the NCAA tournament, of course, that was canceled. But I was wondering, the amount of money that's made there, what happens with that money, or who is going to pay the price of not having that money come from March Madness with schools?
In terms of right now, the networks, as you know, pay the NCAA, and so that those two are going to have to get together and figure out, because the NCAA promised a tournament. There's not going to be a tournament, so CBS and Turner are going to need to get that money back. It's almost certain that there's not going to be a rebate to where the NCAA is going to cut a check to them, but they're going to have to sort of make good elsewhere, maybe increase the deal going forward. And what's going to end up happening there is that the schools aren't going to get as much money, because it's just going to be a trickle down effect down to what you were talking about. And think about like the person that created the magazine, souvenir magazines that everybody buys at the stadiums. I mean, those magazines were all produced, right? I would imagine, and all of a sudden, a business like that is, really out significantly on this.
The XFL had to shut down. It feels like Vince McMahon was maybe looking at this at least as a 3-year project. I don't have numbers on that, but it feels like there was a 3-year process here of he had money that he was going to lose and knew he was going to lose. But what kind of impact will this have on the XFL?
I think I'm going to answer every question of yours with nobody knows, and I apologize for that, but nobody knows. But one thing is that everybody said that the XFL was prepared to go to year 2. They were going to be financed through year 2. They have sort of media deals in place that go multiple years. They had sponsorship deals in place that go multiple years. And so the likelihood is that they will kick off a second year. The big question is, everybody saw what happened with their 401ks. Everybody sees what's happening with the stock market. So that money that was around to fund a year 2, how is that affected? And that's sort of, we're going through my story list coming up of stories that I need to research, and that's going to be one of them.
The Masters has been postponed this year. They obviously can take this financial hit, but what about CBS with that? CBS losing out on the Masters, and now they've lost out on March Madness as well. They have. Is there insurance here? Is there what kind of act of God insurance here?
There certainly will be some insurance here, but the networks are going to have to get together with the leagues or the conferences or the NCAA and just try to because the networks could demand their money back, right? But at the same time, the networks have deals with cable systems, and the cable system, the TNT deal with their cable system is all predicated on showing the NCAA tournament. So there's a whole different there's a whole line of business dealings that are sort of in upheaval now. And the one thing that I heard this week is that everybody kind of wants to work together, so it's not gonna blow up to where I'm gonna have a good front page story of a he said she said. But that's right now. I mean, what happens in a month when they really start to feel the pinch? So that's another sort of area that I'm going to be looking at as well.
What league is most vulnerable financially right now?
The newer ones, like the XFL that you mentioned, I would never call the NFL vulnerable. The NFL is so powerful. But one thing you have to look at is that they were right on the cusp of starting a media rights negotiation that was going to bring in 60 to 70% more in revenue from the networks. the networks are not a charity case. You know, the networks all saw their stocks fall as well, and they're looking at a prospect of less advertising now. Like, how much does that affect the NFL moving forward? Again, no real answers, but these are a lot of the questions that people are having.
But you're also looking at this NFL situation with the timing of this. And I was told by somebody with the Players Association that the owners felt like a recession was coming before the coronavirus. The timing of trying to get a TV deal done, how important is that to the NFL? Is it do it now, or do you try to ride this out?
I think that one of the things that they were trying to do, because the TV deal isn't up for a couple of years, they were really trying to beat any kind of recession that was coming. I mean, they were going whole hog to get this done, and it looked like things would be sort of in place, if not signed, by the fall. And now, you know, I don't know anything, but my speculation is that this could then be pushed back another year or so, just to let everybody get their footing again.
And then I look at the NBA with at least a month off, and then you look at the fallout from what happened with Daryl Morey's comments about China. It's been a costly year for the NBA.
Yeah, and what if they don't play? They don't have playoffs, because you know right now a lot of these deals that the leagues have with the networks, Dan, are predicated on a number of games or a number of hours that have been shown, and almost certainly, I don't know that the NHL and the NBA through the regular season have met that number of hours. So they're okay right now in terms of their contract. There's and triggering clauses, but the playoffs are coming. If they don't play the playoffs, that is a huge ding. I mean, that's something that they're going to try to stay away from. But if you saw Adam Silver's comments yesterday on TNT, like he said, 30 days or more or less. Like everybody's waiting to see what everything's going to look like in 30 days. So the idea that it's going to be a rigid 30 days is fanciful right now.
John, great to talk to you. Hope you have a great weekend, safe weekend, and thanks for joining us.
I wish I could be more optimistic, Dan. I apologize for that.
Yeah, it's not your fault. Thank you, John. John Ourand of the Sports Business Journal. And look, I echo, his responses. We don't know. Everybody wants to try to handicap this and have a crystal ball, and we just don't know. I was told last night by a government official that the next 60 days, that things are, going to be tough, very difficult. And it gets worse before it gets better. What that means, somebody with the CIA said, this is they're preparing for a very difficult time in the next 60 days. This is in the New York area. How that spreads out the rest of the country, even the rest of the world, not quite sure. We just don't know. Uncharted territory. Phone calls coming up. Nick in Illinois. We'll talk to Tom Curran, who covers the Patriots, with the Tom Brady situation here. Hey, we can actually talk about Tom Brady and, don't feel like, we're trolling here. There's actual things to talk about. Free agency Monday, or it's legal tampering Monday coming up with Tom Brady. So we'll talk to Tom Curran. Hey, Nick, what do you have for me today?
Hey, Dan. Good morning.
Good morning.
6'3", 160. Thank you. Hey, I'm a current senior in college, Division I athlete in Illinois here. And yesterday our school got shut down, announced kind of the plans to go online and everything. It was a hectic day. I still had practice, but took a nap in the afternoon to get away from everything and woke up feeling a little bit better. And then I woke up to about 20, 25 text messages with the news that the NCAA had canceled all the spring championships and my career was effectively over. So it's kind of surreal to go through that, and we're getting through it like everybody else is. But, just kind of my story, my side of things.
What if you had an opportunity to come back and I'm not sure what sport you want to tell me what sport that you play?
Yeah, I'm cross country and track.
Okay, if you could come back for your senior season, one more year of eligibility, would you sign up to do that if you didn't get any scholarship money?
Personally, well, we've actually had this discussion on the team on runs and stuff. Personally, I would not, because I've been accepted to medical school, so I'm moving on. next year with that. But I do have teammates who have said that they would, if they got the waiver, come back. And we've talked with our coach, and he's kind of said he doesn't really know what's going to happen. You know, this is unprecedented, and the NCAA may give waivers to all the seniors because nobody will have an outdoor track season at this point.
Yeah. Well, good luck with the bigger picture, and that's going to med school. And congratulations on that, Nick. Thanks for joining us and sharing your story.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, Seton.
He's kind of in the same place that Vince Carter is in, where he knew his career was over. You know, Vince Carter knew he was retiring at the end of the year. He just didn't think it was today. You know, that, this is the last game that I'm going to play. He thought that he had more time, just like that kid knew that his track career was basically over at the end of the season. He just thought he had more time. It's got to be tough to have that snatched away.
And you get to go to medical school. That's a nice consolation prize. And Vince Carter goes to the Hall of Fame. Yes, Paulie.
I was going to say, this kid and I had a lot in common when he said he took a nap yesterday, but then he said he runs cross country and he's going to medical school. Other than that, he and I are like twins.
Yeah. Separated at birth. Yeah. All right, we'll take a break, get an update on Tommy. Hashtag Tommy with Tom Curran, who's going to tell us about Tom Brady. Busy week for Tom coming up next week. We'll talk about that, a little football, more phone calls as well here on the Dan Patrick Show. we have an animation of the week. We found an animator.
That's
Scott with 1090 Media
Okay.
is our animator. And he's going to take interviews and then create a cartoon.
Is this like South Park? Is it not suitable for?
No, this is suitable. This
Oh.
is the Charles Barkley interview that he did a cartoon. Draymond Green, because he's not going to be in the playoffs this year, but is your
Well, he
job
can't
safe?
Dan, Draymond Green is he's a nice guy. I like Draymond. And he's a good player. But you know what he is? He's like the guy in the boy band who's the least important member. And he thinks the crowd is like cheering for him. He doesn't realize he's standing next to Justin Timberlake. He's the least famous person in the boy band, and he thinks he's a star.
So he's Joey. He's Joey Fatone.
I'm not going to talk about Joey.
Okay, Lance Bass. He's Lance Bass.
Man, we're not going to talk about it. But he's like in the boy band, who's lucky to be in the boy band, and like he thinks all the girls are screaming for him. And like, no, they're screaming for Justin Timberlake. You're just in the band. Enjoy being in the band, because you're never going to have any hit singles.
What do you think?
That was tremendous.
Draymond Green.
I like Charles' little legs.
Yeah,
he's lounging
he's
back.
spilling out of his jersey.
He's sitting there with
That's
Fatone
fun,
and Bass.
dude.
Yeah,
I like
so
it.
one. Oh, you know I love talking about Tom Brady's future. Can't wait, always. Tom Curran gets to do this for a living. He's the Patriots insider for NBC Sports Boston. Who designates you as an insider? I always wondered that. Like, does somebody say
self-declaration?
I don't know if you can say I'm a sports insider. I'm a Patriots insider. But Tom Curran from NBC Sports Boston will join us coming up. Ryan in Florida joins us. Hey, Ryan, what do you have for me?
Hey, DP, the first time, long time, 6'4", 247. Thank you. Been waiting for that for a long time. First off, I want to thank you for all that you do, especially giving us this little reprieve from all this chaos that's happening. But on top of that, I am getting married tomorrow, so I wanted to hear advice from you and the Danette.
Ooh.
Just anything you can give. I know it's a little chaotic right now, and obviously we can't plan for what happened, but just get some advice from you guys. Listen, thanks so much for all you do again.
All right. Well, thank you, Ryan. Yes, Eden.
I have two pieces of advice for your wedding day. If you're driving yourself, make sure you get your car washed beforehand. Don't show up with a dirty car. Did that. Look stupid. Number two, remember to smile when you're walking back down the aisle, because everybody's... After you get married. Make sure that you have a very big smile on your face, because that's when everybody's taking pictures. And you just want to make sure that everyone captures your very happy face.
We somehow make the smooth segue to Tom Curran, the Patriots insider for NBC Sports Boston. How's morale in Boston, Tommy?
I would say because it's cloudy with a little bit of maybe freezing rain dropping right now and a canceled Boston Marathon, it's low. But I hope that people gather their senses and buckle up and move forward, because it's, suck it up for 3 weeks to a month, and this will be a chapter in the history of the country that we made it through, despite maybe a slow start.
Next week, Tom Brady will be with the Patriots, with another team, no decision made.
No decision made.
Oh, so nothing. What happens next week with Brady?
Well, I think that free agency is probably going to be held off. I just think that the NFL is going to balk at the optics of it. But bottom line, he's not going to come back here. Not the way things are trending right now. They had a phone call last week, Belichick and Brady. It did not go well. Belichick acting as if Brady was still under contract. Dale Arnold from WEEI saying that part of that was based around the fact that Belichick said, we can't pay you more than last year. So when I was told it's acting as if he's still under contract, that makes sense if that's what he was told, because that's what you tell a guy who doesn't have any leverage.
Well, I wonder about his leverage, though, Tom. I don't think there are 8 teams interested in Brady. I'm sure there are a couple of teams that are going to have to overspend for him, but if Tampa appears is all in, I don't know if Tennessee is. I don't know if San Francisco is. I don't know if there's a mystery team here. But if you're going to look at the odds here, you're playing favorites here. Who would you pick?
Well, just an aside here, I don't think the level of intensity has to be the same for every team in order for there to be legitimate interest.
Well, I know, but when Jeff Darlington says 8 teams, 8 teams, if I can get him for $17, yeah.
Well, 8 teams, depending upon what hoops I need to jump through. I think that the Niners, again, with the number of people who have jumped on that since Deion Sanders mentioned it, then Florio mentioned it, then I mentioned it, now Mike Lombardi's been riding it like a mule. I think he could be disabused of it really quickly if Kyle Shanahan felt that was something he would do. So, to me, the Niners are an absolute, that's a very narrow hoop to fire through. But I think that there's legitimate interest on the parts of 5 or 6 teams, which would be Chargers definitely, Bucks definitely, Raiders perhaps to a degree, although I was told that Gruden is not going to intensely pursue Brady, but if he calls, he'll listen. Titans, of course. And then I think the Colts are a team that people have dismissed outwardly, but if they're going to be kicking the tires on Phillip Rivers and they're not going to look at Brady, what are we talking about?
Oh, I agree. I said I don't know why the Colts aren't in on Brady, because you got a great offensive line, you got a great coach, great GM, you're playing half your games indoors. To me, that if I'm Brady, that would be the place that I would want to play for that team. Maybe I don't want to play in Indianapolis, but I think that's a nice little soft landing spot.
I concur, and I think a lot of GMs and team personnel are lying right now because they do have answers in-house, and there's 2 things there. If they don't get Brady, then they don't want to piss off the guy who was there, and if they don't get Brady, they get to save face, in terms of, this isn't what we were going to try and do anyway. So
let me hit you with this.
I just only had one.
Let me hit you with this in the final minute. What would Plan B be for the Patriots?
Jarrett Stidham.
Oh.
Jarrett Stidham will probably be given every opportunity to win the quarterback job, as far as I can tell. I don't think they're going to go out and spend $15 million on Andy Dalton, carry Brady's $13.5 million, and now have $28.5 million worth of cap money on that position to get from Dalton basically not that much more than they can conceivably get from Stidham for $800,000. I really think that they would, if Brady does not re-sign, they would be in the market for $5 million quarterbacks as opposed to $15 or $18 million quarterbacks, and I think Stidham would be given every opportunity to win the job.
It's great to talk to you. I'm sure we'll talk soon.
This was way too quick,
I know it was. I feel bad that I was up against the break, and then I took the phone call and the guy getting married, and I took away some of your quality time with us.
Smile going down the aisle.
All right. Thank you, Tommy.
Goodbye, then.
That's Tom Curran, Patriots Insider, NBC Sports Boston. He's been adamant that Brady was gone, and he was willing to bet me. He was like, hey, whatever you want to bet, I'll bet you Brady is not coming back here. Sounds pretty sure. Question is, where's he going to go? And if Jarrett Stidham, come on down. Feels like you might need Plan C if Plan B is Jarrett Stidham. Just a guess. All the great Scott Van Pelt of the Mothership is going to join us coming up. Final hour is Traeger Meat Friday after this. I'm just grateful I'm one of the lucky few. It's something you see on this show every day. And maybe you take it for granted. You can't really describe the feeling. Maybe poetry in motion, when the ball leaves the tip of your fingers, and then you hear that net. Splash. Love that sound. It's an art form. The way it looks, it's perfect. And everyone says clay is a true masterpiece.
That's easy. Clay Thompson. Clay Thompson.
I disagree.
You might have had something I had the other night.
Dunking has never done anything for me. I'll always have this. This will never leave me. I feel bad for who's ever checking me. I'm going to embarrass you. Even to this day, you have players who know what I possess.
And I just saw you pump in about 10 jumpers in a row, man. I don't know what's going on.
From some of the greats.
Beautiful release, rotation, gooseneck on the follow through.
To the new kids.
My nickname was Mr. Outside.
Oh, so you a shooter then?
Oh, they know.
You know that feeling.
I do.
Best feeling in the world.
Oh, they see it.
I mean, it's textbook.
Oh, they recognize it.
Why aren't you playing in the NBA?
But only a few. Very few can relate.
Keep shooting. Be aggressive and do what we do and just be us.
And I'm one of the few. Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Batting the hatches.
How can we limit the exposure here?
Cover your windows in plastic.
This is bigger than March Madness in our brackets. This is bigger than the start of Major League Baseball.
And enjoy the Dan Patrick Show at a reasonable volume.
A safe place to go.
Safely from the confines of your home.
Clayton Kershaw, you guys are disgusting, like licking your fingers and rolling the ball and spitting. And, I mean, come on. You guys are like a petri dish.
I would agree when you put it like that, but I will say basketball and hockey are a little bit different in that, like, they're literally sweating all over each other, checking guys and posting up and things like that. So that seems more of like a hotbed than like a baseball game, in my opinion. But I'm no doctor.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave.
Hell, I'd vote for you for president.
This is Dan Patrick.
Final hour on this Traeger Meat Friday. And yes, I have some Meat Friday songs. We will have Meat Madness. That will not be canceled this year. If you'd like to dial us up, you can, 877-3DP-SHOW. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. The Masters has been postponed, not canceled, postponed. We'll talk to Scott Van Pelt of the Mothership about that. NFL free agency still feels like it's going to take place starting on Monday, the legal tampering part of that. Obviously, with basketball, men's and women's tournaments are canceled, and the spring sports canceled as well. The NBA putting the league on hold for at least 30 days. The XFL has ended its season. Spring training is over, and the start of the season is delayed. Today's poll question, next week Tom Brady will be staying with the Patriots, joining another team, or no decision made. We had the great reporter Tom Curran, NBC Sports Boston, who has been covering this with great detail, and he thinks that there's no decision made next week on Tom Brady, but he says Tom Brady is gone from the Patriots. And the question is, where would he land? And Tom Curran pointed out some things, because I want to know what plan B is for the Patriots, because Bill Belichick is not going to be blindsided by anything here. Is Jarrett Stidham, has he shown the Patriots enough where you go, that's plan B? Jarrett Stidham, the Auburn quarterback, is going to be the starting quarterback for the Patriots moving forward. Can you bring in a backup, not an Andy Dalton backup, because Brady's going to cost you, $13.5 million on the cap by becoming a free agent. And as far as Brady, where he would end up, I still feel and have felt all along the Colts made the most sense. Now, it may not make the most sense for the Colts, but it would for Brady. Very good offensive line. Got a good running game. Your skill position players are good, not great. You got a good head coach, former NFL quarterback. You got a really good GM and Chris Ballard, and you play half your games indoors. That, to me, feels like the best landing spot for him. But I don't know if they view him the way he might view them. Tampa Bay, I think, is going to be all in. The reports, all indications are Tampa's all in. I think Oakland, John Gruden loves the quarterback he doesn't have, and I think out of respect to Brady, he would talk to him, find out what he wanted. The Chargers need Brady. I believe that. I don't think Brady needs the Chargers as much as the Chargers need him. But if this is about legacy, about winning another championship, it's not about money. Or at least that's what we're told. But doesn't it always end up being about money? Brady wants to be paid. He wants the respect. He wants to have people fawn all over him because he never got this. He doesn't get that with his owner or his coach. His owner he does. Now the owner says, hey, I'm going to stay out of this. So Brady doesn't even get that part of the equation. Chargers makes a lot of sense. Just to be relevant. The price you pay to be relevant in Los Angeles, Tom Brady is worth that. The Raiders going to Vegas, I would stay with Derek Carr. If you're the Colts and you're looking at Phillip Rivers, why wouldn't you look at Tom Brady? Tampa, you got to move on from Jameis Winston. And if Tom Brady is there for a couple of years with that talent there and that coach and Bruce Arians, okay, I understand it. I don't think you're winning a Super Bowl. Because I don't even know where you would stand with the other teams. You got the Saints, who are still very good. Carolina's in a rebuild. And Atlanta, maybe the free fall is over. I'm not sure. But, maybe you'd make the playoffs. So I don't know some of the other spots for Tom Brady. But Tom Curran said, hey, there could be 8 that are at least slightly interested. But I think there's 2 or 3 that are really interested. But we'll find out about Brady coming up next week. Andrew Brandt He covers the business side of sports for ESPN. He says, just sent out a tweet. I do understand NFL free agency does not require public gatherings and contact, and I do understand it would be a welcome relief, but I can't see it next week. Sports world is shut down. Many teams sent home, optics, etc., and there is no urgency to having it now. Hashtag coronavirus. Well, I don't know. I don't know how much it's really going to bother people if you go, hey, Tom Brady signed. You might go, yeah, hey, I got something to talk about here. Some wide receiver is going to get a contract. Is somebody going to be upset? We hold it off a week? I don't think that's going to matter. I'm not going to be bothered by it. If the players sign that new collective bargaining agreement, I'm not going to go, oh, they're making all this money. I mean, just stay on schedule here. It's okay. I don't, unless you're saying NFL teams can't do their job. And that is travel. Because remember, teams were traveling to Brady. They were going to his place. You have physicals. You're going to have to fly private to go to Brady. How many teams are going to do that? What about pro days? What about scouting? So I understand that part of this. And then the NFL draft. I can't imagine that they're going to hold the NFL draft in Vegas with inviting people. I just don't think that we'll be in any position by then where we go, it'll be safe to travel. It'll be safe to get into a group here. And that's a crowd, $750,000. I think they'll have the draft, but the draft may be teams just call in. The old school way of holding a draft, where you just pick up the phone and say, the Detroit Lions are taking Tua Tagovailoa. You can have cameras in the war rooms there. You can have a camera at some of the high draft picks, the homes of the high draft picks there. And we don't have those awkward hugs with the commissioner. I'm all for that. And you do it in Vegas next year. It seems simple, right? Andrew Brandt with another tweet. Please, players don't report to NFL teams for almost 2 months. There's no timing reason to start the league year now. Maybe free agency and draft in same week as big NFL showcase week. Just a thought. All right. I appreciate him looking out for us, but I'm okay. I'm okay if there happens to get be some really big news. I think my life is going to be okay. If I'm at home quarantined in my basement, I think I'll be okay to take that information. Tony in California joins us. Hey, Tone, what do you have for me?
Hey, Dan, how's everybody doing?
Hey, bud.
Hey, so happy Meat Friday. Hey, just so you guys know, before Curran and before Rado and Dion were talking about the Niners, you guys had me on the show, and I told you that he was going to the 49ers back on the 27th. You look at the last segment of the first hour, and it's there.
What day was this? January 27th?
No, February 27th.
Oh, February 27th. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that was just before it all broke out. And then you think Jimmy G is getting $28 million. Well, what if you paid, Brady another $5, or you get him up in that range? And you guys talked about, Brady in a Chargers uniform, how good he looked. Well, just think of him in that scarlet red with those baby blue eyes and truth just beaming out, scanning defenses and breaking them down. Come on.
Easy there, Tony. Tony, thank you, though. And I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge that you said Brady could go to the 49ers there. But imagine the powder blue Charger uniforms with Tom's blue eyes. Yes, Paul.
That's why I think Tampa is out. Tampa released a look at their new uniforms. They're a tweaked version. They're a better version of their current awful uniforms, but they're not the creamsicles or orange version. They're less putrid.
I think Brady and creamsicle would look pretty good.
Right. They're not going that direction, and Tom Brady cannot wear that. His wife would never allow it.
And the fact that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch haven't said anything about this publicly where they're backing Jimmy Garoppolo is awkward. Right? And the less I hear about it, the more I think it's real. Because, you have agendas here. You have both sides with the Patriots, Brady and Belichick, and then you have teams that are trying to get the information out there. Tampa made it clear. They're all in on Tom Brady. The Raiders, I think we found our guy in Derek Carr. The Niners haven't really publicly backed Jimmy Garoppolo. I think George Kittle is the one guy who has so far. So that feels like that's real. The Colts haven't said anything about Brady. It's been, and I told you this first during the Super Bowl week. The scout told me, if you're looking for Phillip Rivers to play for another team, look at Indianapolis. And that appears to be the destination. Now it sounds like Tennessee is going to re-sign Ryan Tannehill. Okay. How many other options does Brady have? And do you want to go back to New England? You want to get another offer. You'd love to get an offer to take back to New England and maybe get into a bidding war here. I think you're just trying to create leverage here. But if I'm the Niners, do I give up on Jimmy Garoppolo? Only if I think what I've seen is as good as it's going to get. Would the Patriots want Jimmy Garoppolo back?
Saucy.
That would be telling if all of a sudden Jimmy Garoppolo is cut and then Belichick doesn't sign him. That would probably give you your answer of maybe how other teams feel about Jimmy Garoppolo. But Garoppolo almost won the Super Bowl. If he wins the Super Bowl, we're not having this conversation, right? Right? We don't have this conversation because you're going to go, yeah, you won the Super Bowl and we're going to move on from you. He had 2 passes batted down. Did he miss a home run throw? Yes, he did. Bad interception. It felt like the Titans and the Niners were hiding their quarterbacks in the postseason. And that's why I think those are the 2 landing spots for Brady. And Tampa might be, the wild card there. But where can you win? You can win in San Francisco. You got to the AFC title game in Tennessee. But I still think there are 2 to 3 teams that are really, that will sign or could sign Tom Brady. I think there are teams that are interested, and I think that there are those who will do their due diligence. But when you say 8 teams, that seems a lot. That seems like a lot. We got Meat Friday songs. I try to pick up morale around here a little bit. And I said to the big German, go out and get some meat. We're having a Traeger Meat Friday today, and so we got some sausages, some brats, and some burgers. We need to celebrate here. I'm going to celebrate because there's not going to be any celebrating going on for a while. So if you're watching on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, that's Tyler out there. Tyler, the moderator in the chat room, is also the one who is doing the cooking today.
He's cooking and censoring people simultaneously.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He carries his computer around with him, and then he goes into the chat row, and he monitors everything. And now we've got him cooking. I don't know if he's ever cooked for us before. But look, we got a skeleton crew here, so you're asked to do a couple of jobs here. You got to do at least 2 things. Garbage and graphics. Burgers and chat room. They're
cutting cameras and mail.
Yeah.
Screening calls, parking cars.
We'll take a break. Scott Van Pelt, the great Scott Van Pelt, on loan from the mothership, will join us. Coming up.
Is he singing a song for us?
I don't know if I ever heard Van Peasy sing a song before. Trying to think who else sang, because I would sing every day at the mothership. I was always singing a song. Not well, but I'd always sing a song. I don't know if anybody else. I'm humming music all the time, but I don't know. You guys think of anybody else?
Chris McKendry?
No, never heard her.
Not much of a singer.
No, I don't think so.
I think of something else.
Berman. Berman would just do lyrics. Yeah, he would do Bob Dylan lyrics or something. Trying to think if there's anybody else. Yes, Tom.
Bob Lee, Charlie Steiner, not big with the crooning?
No, I don't remember that. Stuart Scott, I don't remember. Stuart would do some rap occasionally. Rich Eisen, no. Oberman, no. Chris Fowler, no. But remember, I was there for morale. Like, of all the employees, I was asked to make sure I showed up to do my radio show on Fridays because I wanted to do it from home. And they said, no, you're good for morale.
That's a compliment.
Yeah.
They didn't mean it that way.
No, they did not.
Sure had the opposite effect, too. I can tell you that.
kind of the reason we're here right now.
Yeah. I'd be in such a bad mood coming in because I just said, can I do just so I can reintroduce myself to my kids, could I do the show from home? You'll never know the difference.
That was a rough stretch there.
Thank you, Tom.
What are we going to do? Talk about that for 3 hours? That would be some of your responses. We throw out guest idea.
No.
All right, then what do we do for the next 2 hours and 54
We'd
minutes?
add 15 pieces of paper and be like, hey, so this is what we're thinking. Okay, so that's the first 5 minutes. What else do we have?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, go back to the drawing board, boss.
Yep. Yeah. But look at me now.
Look at you now.
Look at me now.
Piece of cake. Yeah, piece of cake.
Yeah. You remove the corporate part of this. You remove all of those stuffed shirts, suits, and look at us.
You talked about 2 weeks ago?
Wow.
Oh, whoa, too soon.
I'm not officially divorced from AT&T.
That's
so
my bad.
I got to still
Blame McLovin.
play nice. Yeah, I got. Oh, yeah, McLovin left. I didn't miss him. He had to go pick up his kids. So we're down a Dennett. How did we manage this today? Does anybody have an update on the poll results?
Yeah, they're not up there. I checked. They're not up there. I tried to put them up there two hours ago, but I couldn't figure it out. Back to you.
Yeah, but once again, you have to have another job. Everybody
Right.
has 2 jobs.
I'm not good at the technical stuff. I sent it to McLovin, but he's driving.
He has a special access code to get in there for some reason.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, none of us have the password. We don't know how to put that up.
Yeah, all right. Let me take a break. We'll talk to Scott Van Pelt. The Masters has been postponed. Not canceled, postponed. But trying to find that window for the Masters. We'll talk to Scott about that 20 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. Discover has something amazing matching all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, and we'll do that automatically. There's no limit on how much you can earn, which is pretty amazing. Discover is accepted in over 95% of places in the United States that take credit cards. This according to the 2019 Nielsen report. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing the word yes more often. You can learn more at discover.com/yes. That's discover.com/yes. Limitations apply.
All right, we're in San Antonio for the Final Four. Perloff, where are you taking us?
Taco Garage, one of the many great places to get breakfast tacos here.
Well, I've had breakfast tacos in Austin, in Dallas. What's the San Antonio story?
Those are pretenders. This is the home of breakfast tacos.
Smack talk. So you're saying the next 2 days we're going to be morning, noon, and night trying breakfast tacos around the city?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Let's do it.
Yeah, tough gig.
There's so many options. There's like over 30 tacos on here. I don't know what to do.
We can either try all of them or bring Lee, the owner, over.
Let's do both.
Lee, joining us now, Lee, the owner of Taco Garage. You're doing the Lord's work, man. But when I ask you something, like a lot of people around the country, Northerners, think of tacos as lunch and dinner. Why is it such a good thing for breakfast?
It is the variety, probably. You can get anything you want wrapped in a tortilla.
Anything?
I mean, you name it. Oh.
So, Lee, we don't just have breakfast tacos here. We have breakfast platters.
Right.
That's a full man's breakfast.
That'll get you going through the day. It might hold you over through lunch. A lot of people order this for breakfast? Because this looks like a dinner.
Once you do that, you get the donuts. I don't want to dish donuts, but
I think I'm finally going to have hair on my chest.
Yeah, like
you don't have kale anywhere near this place, do you?
no kale taco at all.
Do I notice it's kind of quiet here? Like it's respectful. People are focused on the food. No one's playing on their phones.
Yeah, everybody's eating. Speaking of which, excuse me.
Get in there, kid.
What's something that's unusual that you wouldn't expect in a breakfast taco?
Machicado, dried beef, carne seca.
Tastes so good going down.
Yeah. Bean and cheese tacos are #1. 25,000 a year. I think
Just
we
bean
sell.
and cheese.
Bean and cheese.
Have you heard the new expression? Breakfast is the new dinner.
Right. The refried beans are the base. You start there, look at the base, right? Then you get there, right? And get some eggs in. Then you get your potatoes. It's all held together like spackle with the refried beans. You kids at home, that's how you do it.
I gotta tell you, Paul, I don't want to eat like the other breakfasts, like cereal, all that stuff. It's gonna seem boring.
You're right, and this explains to me why Popovich never left.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan never left.
Totally.
You know, you're leaving this? I'm staying.
I don't know if I'm gonna stay in San Antonio necessarily, but I am gonna bring breakfast tacos back to New York with me and make it a regular staple.
Let's eat.
Make sure you go to danpatrick.com and check out all the swag we got. St. Paddy's Day T-shirts and also our Mookie Betts tribute. Who knew that Mookie's middle name began with L, MLB?
Yeah, MLB.
Mookie, is it Lynn? I think it's Mookie Lynn Betts.
Yeah,
Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
Yeah. But was he named after Mookie Wilson, or people thought he was named after Mookie Wilson? Of course, the man who tormented the 1986 Boston Red Sox. Did we find that out? I thought McLovin was looking at that with Mookie Lynn Betts.
He's actually on location investigating that right now.
McLovin is?
Yeah.
Yeah, McLovin is not with us today, but he'll be back tomorrow. You guys have any game plan for what we're going to do next week besides free agency? Are we all in on football next week?
Yeah. There's a lot that's going to happen this weekend.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What is going to happen this weekend?
Find out Monday on the Dan Patrick
that's
Show.
what it is.
Figure it out.
Yeah. I think we're going to be talking about what we binge watched. Like, I'm going to eventually finish the Miles Davis documentary that I've been watching for the last couple of days. NASCAR, is NASCAR done for this weekend, Paulie?
Dan, a source close to a NASCAR team, with a NASCAR team, told me the drivers have been told to pack up in Atlanta, and drivers are packing up and heading home. No official release from NASCAR with the race this weekend in Atlanta, as an hour ago is still on, but a NASCAR race team owner said drivers being told to pack up.
Because they were going to hold that race with no fans, and now they decided they're not going to hold that race. You have the Masters is going to be postponed, not canceled. You got the next, I think, 3 events that are going to be postponed. I don't know how you reschedule these, but let's bring in Scott Van Pelt. By the way, great work all week long on Wednesday night. You guys did some really great stuff there. During that Dallas game, you guys on your show did a wonderful job. Thanks for joining us, Scotty.
It's my pleasure. And Dan, as someone that truly could understand it, when you go up to do a fill segment, a fill being just as it's advertised, in between games, following the Dallas game in anticipation of the New Orleans-Sacramento game, and then you find that game is canceled, and then your fill segment becomes an hour and something of live, entirely unscripted, no commercial break television. It is it's something. It's memorable, that's for sure, and obviously the content wasn't what any of us wanted, but we were just trying to give the most updated information that we had, and it was happening truly in real time.
Yeah, I think we're all going through that now in real time, where all of a sudden somebody says this sport is postponed, this tournament is canceled, now the Masters is postponed, and I'm starting to wonder, like, what else is left? What is left to happen except for maybe free agency in the NFL is pushed back, and we don't have the NFL draft. But I'm looking at this next this 30-day window, let's say, or 45 or 6. What do you think is next that could happen?
I don't know, and I hesitate to even wonder. I mean, as far as the sports go, Dan, there's nothing left. There's nothing left to postpone. I mean, I was just FaceTiming with my wife, and my kids are down at the beach in Florida, and our sister-in-law said that one of my kids' cousins said, "Hey, you can do our Little League games, so maybe we'll do the Red Sox down in Jacksonville." I mean, I had I'll just say Justin Thomas. I was going to be coy about it, but he and I were texting back and forth with the players suspended, actually canceled, and he joked that he'd send in video of his practice rounds, and then by the time our text chain was done, we had him and Ricky Fowler playing left-handed with sponsors, and I would wear a hazmat suit. I mean, we're going to have to come up with content and be creative, because there's nothing left to postpone. And yeah, I said last night on the show that, and I really do believe this, Dan, that Gobert was the tipping point, because he became the urgency of them suspending that game is where it felt like a movie. It's like someone sprinting out on the floor to say, wait, you can't play, and Gobert has it, and it's like it. And so the NBA almost immediately says the season's suspended, and that was the domino that led everything else to happen. If he doesn't test positive, I think right now conference tournaments are playing with no fans. I think they would have continued on. It was inevitable that we were going to run into a stoppage of some sort, but in a weird way, this guy who is pretty reckless and irresponsible and making jokes about it then becomes the face of it, but then maybe can become the face in a good way if it turns out that a week from now or whatever, he's actually healthy, and you go, oh, so wait, you mean you don't just you don't just fall over and die? Well, I think we can read that that's the case, but when there's a visible proof of someone having it, and you're like, oh, that's okay, not okay, but it's not a death sentence, then it becomes maybe a positive in that we have a little bit more awareness about it, understanding that the elderly and those with pre-existing conditions really have to be kept safe. But who the hell knows, man? I mean, in real time, we're all just figuring it out, and it's just such a bummer.
Well, I also agree with you on Rudy Gobert. He unintentionally, I think, helped a lot of people. He made it real because you're seeing something, and once again, we go back to real time, and it's like, wait, the Thunder Jazz game is not going to take place. Why? And, the fans didn't even know, as the public address announcer says, and drive home safely and visit oklahomacity.com for more information here. And you're going, wait, what just happened? And then Doris Burke was doing the Mavs game, and she said, she just said, I can't focus on this. I can't imagine the Pelicans-Sacramento Kings game. Then you're going, wow, where is this going? And if Rudy Gobert doesn't, in the Big East yesterday, I go, wait, they're out there. Okay, they're going to do introduction. Wait, the referee has the ball. Wait, they're out at the center. Wait, they're playing? And I went, oh, you guys. And then I go, oh, my God. At halftime, then they canceled. I went, it's just crazy. I mean, there's nothing that will ever compare to this as far as a week. And I've been doing this for 35 years. This is crazy. I hope we never have this again. But it just it felt like 24 hours was 48 hours.
Yeah, it did, and again, the dominoes is Gobert and the NBA, because once they said we're not doing it, then everybody else that was sort of beneath them, particularly in basketball, on the college side, I'm like, there's just no way they can do it. And I like you, I was just shocked that they moved forward in the Garden, and then for them to get to halftime, and then, hey, St. John's, you're nice half. You got a lead over a team that's really good, but I'm sorry, that's the end of it. It was just, and surreal is a word that's getting the work out right now, but it certainly is that. And I know for a fact that a lot of coaches in college were trying to convince the NCAA to postpone rather than cancel. Just give some time to perhaps allow for this to get better and improve. But the logistical challenge with venues and with timelines for players who might not be in college. I mean, so many of these schools, Dan, are going online only. You can't be on campus. So where the hell are you going to practice? And I mean, it sucks, for lack of a more graceful way to put it. But it really sucks, particularly for college basketball players who are seniors or people that were heading to the NBA early, that they don't at least get 40 more minutes together to play. Because, I mean, that's an incredibly abrupt thing. I think of your Dayton Flyers. I said this last night. I'm crushed for my Maryland Terps. Everyone knows that's where I'm from. I'm more crushed for Dayton than anybody else, because this is probably as good as it'll ever be. And then you don't even get another game. It's really, really horrible.
He's Scott Van Pelt of the Mothership joining us on the program. The Masters game plan, what do you think it is?
I've been talking back and forth with a lot of people this morning, and I was struck by this. If they did this, the Masters prefer the term resources to money, and I would just say, as it relates, we don't have a back and a front. We have a first and a second nine. All the proper terminology. Yes. Well, the resources at their disposal, as it would relate to the medical community, I have to believe are unrivaled. So if they're doing this, I have to believe that it is because they have spoken to the leading medical authorities in the world, who just explained why now would be a bad time. I think that they are one of the rare events in sports that could essentially call their shot. I mean, I know they wouldn't want to trample, the PGA Tour or obviously another major championship and just, play the trump card and just name a date and say, okay, here's where we're playing. And it's like, well, no, actually, we've got another event. I think they would try to work within the framework of, is there a spot on the schedule? But truly, if they said, we're playing on this date in June or this date in September or whatever, everybody'd show up because it's the Masters. But I imagine that for all the resources they have, I don't believe that they have the answer to when this is going to pass and when would even be feasible. But my hope, as someone who loves the event, is that they can sort out a spot on the schedule where it makes sense. But they close their course down during the season for a period of time. Like it's just closed, and I don't know when logically they'll be able to do it.
I also wondered about, I hate using the word, but I'll use it, the optics of playing golf at the Players' Championship first round, and then all of a sudden late last night, the commissioner says, we're not gonna continue this. I think they could have continued it. No fans there, and but I think it would have looked bad, and I think the PGA Tour was concerned about how it looked instead of we can actually do this, and I don't know if any players are going to have any problem with this.
My guess, Dan, is this. Rory McIlroy, who is not only the reigning champion, not only the number one player in the world, but as thoughtful and grounded an athlete as I think we have in sports right now, when he says, you got to test everybody, I think that sends a shiver down the spine of Jay Monahan, the commissioner, who he wasn't combative in his press conference on Thursday, but he was explaining why they were going to try to play. I think they were just trying to be hopeful, trying to be optimistic. Listen, we're going to try to, we're going to play without fans. We think we can try to protect each other, this and that. But when Rory says that, and then let's say you test the whole field, given what we are learning about this, almost certainly, whether there are symptoms being shown or not, a caddy, a player, somebody carrying the sign with the player's score on it, somebody out there probably has it. And then once you find out, well, the PGA Tour put the players at risk because so-and-so had this virus. Well, then, and I'm with you, I don't like the term optics, but it certainly doesn't look great if you've carried on and it turns out that this was the circumstance you carried on in spite of. So I just think the more they thought about it, they just thought, you know what, like everybody's hunkering down, we'll join them.
What's the game plan for the next week?
You know Mike McQuaid he was back in the day. He was your guy with Keith on the Big Show, and he's sort of my boss of bosses. And we're trying to figure it out. I mean, I like to think we're a fairly creative bunch, and we can create content in many different ways. But I mean, I'm not a friggin' magician. Like I don't know. Dan, I honestly don't know. I don't know what we'll do. I don't know if we will hit the pause button and just run games like everything becomes ESPN Classic. I don't know. I mean, none of us have ever been confronted with a world where there truly are no games. So we just desperately need to be popping and go nuts. Like, Brady to the Raiders. We can make a day out of that. God
a day? I'm making a week out of that. A month.
If need be. I mean, we could run simulations. I mean, but, listen, we're going to try our best. We're going to try to be a place people can come for a diversion. But if we've got nothing to cover, I mean, I really don't know what it's going to look like.
We were surprised how easy it was to get a hold of you today.
How so? You think I'd be hunkered down?
Yeah. No sports to cover. We figured you were just sitting around not doing anything all by yourself. And we're calling Barkley next.
Well, didn't he? Trying to make sure he's okay. I mean, he apparently he's making sure he's all right. Listen, I know. I could be in the middle of anything, and I'd always have time for you guys. You know that. I
called Boeheim. Boeheim's a mess. He's at home. His wife's yelling at him.
We're going to all be kind of. I think we got nothing. Like that's the biggest thing right now. Is like this is my favorite day. This Thursday, Friday of this week and next week are my favorite days of the year. And now I'm off, and I don't know what to do. I guess I'll read a book.
Great to talk to you again. And once again, tell the staff, your guys, they did a great job this week. Certainly that Wednesday night. That was good TV.
Means a lot, Dan. I appreciate you.
Thank you, buddy. That's Scott Van Pelt. I still think back to when Boeheim was on First Hour. It's like he's just sitting there. And, he's always like his face is melting into his hand because he's always and you could hear his wife say, either get out of the house or do the laundry there. He's not home at this time of the year, usually. I think there'll be a lot of these coaches can't go recruiting. They can't do anything. So it's not like, Fritzy, None of these coaches can say not available.
Exactly.
They're all going to be available.
Very available.
Yeah, Paulie.
I'm worried about Jim Nantz. Jim Nantz has the Final Four and the Masters, and he's got a ton of free time. I know he takes vacation in February, Mr. Nantz.
You've been at his house.
We've been but February is vacation time.
I'm okay with that.
And he's back to work.
If I was quarantined at Jim Nantz's house, I would be fine.
That'd be a 1 seed for quarantine.
I would be okay with that.
Should Jim do a show from his backyard this month? Just talk and eat cheese and wine, or
maybe he could showcase his wine,
hit some balls.
He could on his par 3. He could do that.
His clothing collection, right? He's got
he's
Vineyard Vines
got
thing
Vineyard Vines. Maybe he could do some interviews via remote. I think that we could keep Jim busy. That sounds like a show. We have a hard time programming ourselves, and now we're going to help program other people. Yeah, see.
My favorite part of Jim Nantz's house is when you walk inside, he's giving like a quick little tour, and you go inside the wine room there. It's like a big sort of closet, you know? It's like temperature is perfect, all this stuff. And right in the corner down on the floor is about half a 30-pack of Bud Light. Like,
I know.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it.
It was, but I think that might have been just for guests. I don't know if that Jim doesn't strike me as he's cracking a Bud Light.
But you're right. Even the fact that he had it there, and that end that there was only about a half of it left.
Yeah.
It's still in the box, still in the 30-pack box, but the top was a little crushed in, so you knew that they did some damage. Like, yes, dude, that's my guy.
Yeah, we're crushing some Bud Lights. Yeah, Paulie.
Yeah, Jim Nantz having Bud Light was like Bob Costas wearing jeans at one time. Where Bob Costas wears jeans.
Yeah,
jeans, a Texas baseball
Longhorn,
cap,
yeah.
and then when we went downstairs, he had a Bud bottle.
What? Respect.
I know. When he stayed for lunch that day.
That was wild.
That was the best.
And then, we ordered beers, and all of a sudden Bob says, take a Bud in bottle. And I went, whoa.
Yeah, he's talking real estate advice.
Oh, yeah.
Sipping on a Bud bottle and a lobster roll. Like, dude, this is amazing.
So great.
That sounds like a show right there.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break. Last call for phone calls. We have some meat to eat. I had the big German go out and get some food for this Traeger Meat Friday. So we'll see how Tyler, the moderator, has done on the grill. Even Tyler, the moderator, can't screw up the Traeger grill.
He looked like he was in control out there.
While monitoring the chat row. Yeah, we wear a couple of hats here. All right, we'll take a break. Back after this.
We are back.
Back and better than ever.
Oh, it's coming together.
Yeah. Yeah.
God bless
In a major
America.
way.
Yeah.
They're bakery classics, really.
Nice mustard selection.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing better than a potato roll. Just saying.
That's a hoagie.
Potato hoagie.
Hoagery.
Yeah, sweet.
I have sourdough. Can I just skip the last 10 minutes?
No, you cannot. You came this far. You're all right.
I can't believe McLovin must be really busy.
There's no way he'd
He
pass
must be
on
really
this.
busy. To pass up this.
Yeah.
No way.
How about Tyler, the moderator, did a nice job there.
He sure did.
So it goes from moderating the chat room,
Moderator,
cooking, and now he's handling the cables for our camera guy.
Yeah. That's a
Yes,
versatile
we
player
have.
right there. The Swiss Army knife of.
He's a stud. My cheat day.
Oh, good.
My one cheat day.
Mm.
I've been doing really well, actually. You'd be proud.
Look at Fritzy just tearing that thing apart because he doesn't know how it's already split. Fritzy, you're the best.
Wait, there's hamburger bun over.
Fritzy,
I wanted the sourdough bread. I just totally destroyed this.
show that burger. Hold up that burger real quick, Fritzy. I want
Look at that. Works.
It's not 12:15 yet, though, so.
to. Oh no. I'm gonna go dual mustards
It's
here.
12:15 somewhere is our next T-shirt. Homage to.
There's no bigger statement in the show history than the 12:15.
12:15. It's not 12:15 yet, so.
Here we go.
All right. Party time. Good job, bro.
Close up a shop here on what has been maybe the craziest week that I've ever experienced as a professional broadcaster. And just words of advice heading into the weekend: be safe. Also want to thank this audience for being patient with us, and certainly next week and in the coming weeks, we'll do our best. There'll be things to cover. We do have NFL free agency, but you've come to trust us this far, and we'll continue to try to provide the right stories, the right people, and we might color outside the lines a little bit, but just know that we're doing it to entertain you the best we can. This day in sports history, Paulie, what do you have for us?
Got a few of them. 1999, AC Green of the Mavericks plays 1,000th consecutive game. 1894, J.L. Johnstone invented the horse racing starting gate. I'm fascinated to know what they did before the starting gate. We're all just hanging out, and someone yelled, go. 1998, Dan, this is going to make you miss the tournament. Bryce Drew hits a leaning three-pointer. Time expires to give Valparaiso.
Mississippi State?
Mississippi. 70-69 upset of Mississippi in the first round of the NCAA Midwest Regional. That was 98. And here's a weird one. 1915, Dodgers manager Wilbert Robinson tries to catch a baseball dropped from an airplane, but for some reason the pilot substituted grapefruit because he thought it'd be safer. No word if he caught it.
Oh, well, that's what I want to know.
I know. We're working on it. That's a tease for next week.
We'll do one segment on that. Yeah. We'll get a grapefruit grower who will join us. We're getting an analyst there. Fritzy, you got your work cut out for
I'll tell you, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Anybody got weekend plans here?
Main Cabin Masters and Building Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of TV and food, I think.
Yeah. What about you, Toddler?
Movies, hanging out with the family, not going anywhere.
But that's
my regular life.
Isn't that what we do every weekend?
Pretty much.
No changes.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my kids home from school. And then not knowing if they're going back. Like, it's really strange time because one is graduating from law school and doesn't know if she's going to graduate via Skype. And the other one coming home for spring break and doesn't know if she's going back. And so it's just crazy times there. Crazy times. Dan in Minnesota. Hey, Dan, what do you have for me today?
I have a suggestion to help you fill probably a good 100 days of your show.
Okay.
If you took every Major League Baseball team and go by position, including relief pitchers and pitching coaches and managers, and debate one position every hour, like, who's the best first baseman in Seattle Mariners history? You guys just debate it for an hour. Then you go to the second hour, you go second baseman. And then you could do 3.5 days on one team. And there's 30 teams. And then the winner you could have as a guest. You call Edgar Martinez up when he wins best. Oh, I forgot DH. There's another one. There's another hour right there. You could kill 100 days easily by doing this.
Thank you, Dan. Kill me.
Yeah, I already tuned out of the call. I didn't even get through the call before I tuned out.
Joining us now is Alvin Davis. Alvin, congratulations. You're the best Seattle Mariner first baseman in history. Yes, Paulie.
Joining us now, Dan Gladden from the Minnesota Twins. How do you feel about your nomination here? Should I scrap that bit? I had it worked up.
Yeah. I thought he was going to go down each roster.
I appreciate the hustle on that, though. It was very well thought out.
Was it thought of?
Yeah. Well, you know what the problem is that, like, and the go-to joke around here, I know, especially sometimes for Paul, it's just like, yeah, well, we're not going to, break down the Mariners bullpen for 3 hours. And then he kind of called it, was just like, hey, what if you,
second thought,
every day break down a different bullpen? That'd be great.
Yeah. Best bullpens in history. Oh, boy.
80s best bullpen. Go.
I am thrilled that I'm done for the week. And go into the weekend, and we'll figure this out on Sunday. Todd usually starts reaching out Friday night. Hey, what are you thinking for Monday? And then Saturday, hey, what are you thinking for Monday? Just, how about you wait till Sunday, Todd, to bother me?
That'll probably be best.
Thank you. What did you learn today, Todd?
Jim Boeheim would have preferred playing the conference tournament games with no fans and then regroup on Tuesday to see if they could salvage the tournament.
What did I learn on today's program?
During these anxious times, it's comforting to see brats and burgers cooking on the Meat Friday Traeger grill.
If you run a small business, you should go to LegalZoom right now. Make sure you're set up for success. Go to LegalZoom.com today. Take care of your business needs. Enter the promo code Patrick in the box at checkout. LegalZoom, where life meets legal. We'll talk to you on Monday, we hope.